And good evening, everyone. Nick Weig with you here at the Alert Center here in Omaha. We are coming on because we are beginning our coverage of the Iowa primaries this evening. The polls have now closed across Iowa at the 8 o'clock hour, and we do expect results in the next several minutes on some key matchups that will determine the nominees in several races, both on the Democratic and the Republican side. Some of those key matchups include the open field for governor, particularly on the Republican side. We're also monitoring races in District 4, as well as District 1 and District 2 of the U.S. House for Iowa, and also the senator race between between a Council Bluffs native and an Iowa City native. So that is what we are focusing on tonight. We have crews across the state of Iowa covering the candidates as they prepare to watch those results come in, which again, we do expect those numbers to start coming in just within the next few minutes. So let's go ahead and start right away with the races that we're going to be watching tonight. And we'll start with the Republican primary for Iowa governor. Now, these are in alphabetical order, so you're going to see these pictures shift quite a bit to the individuals that we believe will be the front runners in this. The suspected frontrunner, likely nominee in this race, is Congressman Randy Feenstra, the 4th District representative. He is essentially an establishment candidate here, but it is a wide field. And Iowa has a unique rule here, is no matter how many candidates are in a primary, you need to get 35%. You don't need to hit that 50% threshold. There's no runoff opportunity. But if you don't get 35%, then the results are essentially tossed out and it goes to a nominating convention later this summer, or this spring rather. So again, Randy Feenstra is trying to hit that 35% threshold, but again, a wide field of Eddie Andrews. And there you see the first numbers just coming in, breaking right as we're on this screen. And there you see Randy Feenstra with the very early lead, 117 votes from likely just one precinct reporting, 111 for one of his top challengers, Adam Steen, Zach Lon with 77, Brad Sherman with 5, and then the other candidate, Eddie Andrews, with 3. Now, again, these are extremely early numbers. I don't have the precincts reporting. We may not have a number on the precincts reporting because these may be just one county reporting some absentee numbers just coming in. So very early, all of these numbers don't indicate any clear front runner as these are just trickling in. Moving on to the race for the Senate. This is another open race as Senator Joni Ernst has decided not to seek re-election after serving 2 terms in the Senate. Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, widely expected to be the new nominee, but she's trying to stave off a challenge from Jim Carlin. There you see those very early vote totals coming in right now. Hinson with an edge here in the early numbers, but again, Hinson widely expected to win this race. What's expected to be more of a contested contest on the Democratic side, we have 2 very well-established Democrats here in Iowa politics. Josh Turek of Council Bluffs is probably considered the front runner in this, although there hasn't been a lot of reliable polling done. Zach Walz, the Iowa City native who rose to fame in 2011 when Republican lawmakers were trying to outlaw gay marriage in Iowa, and he gave an impassioned speech on the floor as a teenager about his 2 mothers. Walz has since gone on to become a state senator and for a while was even the Senate minority leader for the Democratic Party, and he is now hoping to win the nomination in this race that widely was considered not a competitive one come November, but there are some who believe that this could be a possible pickup for Democrats with the low popularity ratings of President Trump due to the war in Iran and ongoing inflation and gas prices. Now let's go around the horn here in Iowa. Christina Bohannon, I believe her 3rd attempt in U.S. House District 1. She is facing off against Travis Terrell in the Democratic primary. Bohannon widely expected to win this contest. Over on the Republican side, this is a rematch. Incumbent Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks again facing off against David Poch of the Quad Cities. Poch is largely considered a far-right candidate who tries to align himself quite aggressively with President Trump. President Trump in races past did not endorse Marionette Miller Meeks. Potch actually came somewhat close considering the long shot campaign he ran 2 years ago. But again, this is once again another contest as Congresswoman Miller Meeks has begun to gain a little more favor with President Trump that is likely going to go her way tonight. Now for District 2, Lindsey James, Kathy Dolter, Clint Tweet Ball, the three Democratic candidates for District 2 in Northeast Iowa. Lindsey James from Dubuque running an aggressive campaign early in this contest. Over on the Republican side, Joe Mitchell and Charlie McClintock, the two candidates hoping to succeed Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, who is leaving her seat in her attempt to win that open Senate race over in Iowa. And then District 4, now a open contest on the Democratic side. Dave Dawson, Ashley Wolf Tornabane, and Stephanie Steiner. There you see the early numbers coming in on this contest. Again, very, very early numbers as these absentees are coming in over in the state of Iowa. And so we will see these numbers continue to grow as the night goes on tonight. Some of the other races we'll keep an eye out for you is the state auditor contest. This seat being vacated by the only statewide elected Democrat in Iowa, Rob Sand, who is the Democratic nominee by default for Iowa governor. He is running unopposed. Chris Cornoyer and Abigail Moss are hoping to succeed him in the Republican primary. The Democratic primary is uncontested in this contest. Now for some of the state house races that we're watching over in our part of the First Alert 6 viewing area. The Democratic contest for State House District 12, Dustin Durbin, Brady Meyer vying off in that. And on the Republican side, District 15, Brian Holder, Jason Scherer, and Tony Waite are vying for that nomination. And finally in District 17, Republican Sean Kelly and Republican/incumbent Devin Wood. Wood facing a primary challenge in this contest. We will keep an eye on those races as well. Of course, no numbers in on those. The early numbers coming in right now, we are getting in the race for governor. Again, Randy Feenstra now pulling in 33% of the total so far. That's below the 35% threshold these candidates need in order to avoid a nominating committee for the party. As we look at some of the other numbers, there you see Steen just behind in these very early vote totals, 21% for Zach Lawn as well. And that early fragmentation could be a signal that Feenstra, as well as Steen and Lawn and others in this contest, may find it challenging to hit that 35% threshold if three candidates of the five in this contest are splitting the majority of the vote. But right now, Feenstra does maintain that lead, but below the threshold needed to secure the nomination. Over on the Senate side, on the Republican side, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson hoping to join the Senate in this election cycle, and so far so good for her as expected. She has the strong lead. There you see we're now getting some precinct percentages in as we're getting some likely some vote count from today beyond the absentee votes. So this race going as we expected. Because this did just come in, let's go ahead and go back to the governor's race as we've got some new numbers there. There you see Feenstra still below that 35% threshold in the very early count, but still holding a small lead over Adam Steen and Zach Lawn in the race for the Republican nomination for governor to take on Rob Sand in the midterm elections. On the Democratic side, in this early vote, with 4% reporting on the Democratic side in the U.S. Senate, Democrat Josh Turek is well ahead of Democrat Zach Walz. This is really going to come down to exactly where these votes are coming from. Turek, obviously much more popular among Democrats, more well-known among Democrats in the western half of Iowa. Zach Walz, much better known in the eastern half of Iowa, where Democrats arguably have more votes. So this is really going to come down to where that turnout is coming from in Iowa, and that is something that we will keep a very close watch of tonight. Over in House District 1, Christina Bohannon, as expected, with a large lead in securing her third consecutive nomination for the Democrats in U.S. House District 1. It would, if she does secure that, it would set up her third consecutive face-off, likely against incumbent Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks. She is being primaried by the same individual, David Pouch from the Quad Cities, but right now she holds a very strong lead over this very, very early vote count. Again, we're keeping an eye on a pair of votes here in District 2. Over on this is the seat currently held by Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, who is now running for Senate in this election cycle. Lindsey James, right now with a strong lead with just under 4% of the vote in. This is about where I think many expected the numbers to be. We'll see if it holds, though, as we are just getting some of the first vote count from today. And then over on the Republican side, a little bit closer right now, Joe Mitchell, Charlie McClintock vying for to succeed Congresswoman Hinson as the Republican nominee in the 1st District of Iowa. And just wanted to see where we're getting numbers from. Let's go back to that Senate race here in Iowa. On the Democratic side, Josh Turek with the strong lead over Zach Walz. Just taking a look at where a lot of that vote is coming in so far, a lot of that vote is from Polk County. Both Turek and Walz have spent a lot of time under the Golden Dome in Des Moines at the Iowa State House. And right now, Josh Turek is leading that vote 70 to 30%. As most of this vote you see on your screen right now is coming from Polk County. Some of the numbers coming in right now are coming in largely from western Iowa and Carroll and Webster County, some coming in from Tama County, some in Dubuque County, and in all of those counties, western and eastern, Josh Turek is leading the vote totals in those counties. Now, of course, Lynn and Johnson counties are some of the biggest population centers and the biggest counties for Democratic registered voters, and Zach Walz is going to be counting on a lot of support there, as right now he is trailing quite handily by about 70 to 30 in just about every county, reporting early numbers tonight. Over on the Republican side, it's really no contest, as Ashley Hinson is likely going to be declared the winner in this rather quickly tonight. She was facing a primary challenge from Jim Carlin, but obviously as a 3-time Congresswoman, she had the full support of not only the Republican Party, but as President Trump as well. And those numbers coming in tonight, just about where we expected them to be so far. Again, just 1% in right now, but certainly falling the way that many expected. Real quick, let's go ahead and check out District 1. There you see Bohannon with her lead, and then on the Democratic side, or excuse me, the Republican side, Marionette Miller Meeks looks to be on her way, at least for now, to a 4th consecutive or a bid for a 4th term in the the U.S. House. She had run several other times as the Republican nominee, losing to former Congressman and Democrat Dave Loebsack, but after he retired, she has now held this seat since the 2020 election and has maintained it through several terms. Over in District 2, there you see Lindsey James with a strong lead in eastern Iowa. Right now, a little bit of a closer race for the Republican nomination. Over in House District 4 on the Democratic side, pretty close right now. Dave Dawson with a slight edge in the early vote count over the other 2 opponents. On the Republican side, let's take a look at the state auditor contest right now. Pretty even as well. Chris Cornoyer and Abigail Moss vying to succeed Rob Sand, the Democrat, as state auditor. The Democrats already have a nominee for this contest, and Republicans are hoping to win this seat back. Rob Sand now running for governor, the only Democrat elected to statewide office in Iowa in more than a decade, and he has held that seat now for 2 consecutive terms in Iowa. Some of the state house races we're watching in western Iowa, Dustin Durbin and Brady Meyer in District 12 on the Democratic side, no results there. Also no results in the Republican nomination for District 15 of the Iowa House, and no numbers reported yet for District 17, the Republican nomination, including incumbent Iowa Representative Devin Wood. No numbers reporting in those just yet. All right, let's go back now to the Republican primary for governor. Democrat Rob Sand, the Democratic nominee for governor. Randy Feenstra, the current congressman of District 4, giving up his seat to run for governor, and right now he's maintaining a lead, and he is right at the 35% threshold with just about 2% of the vote in now. Again, in Iowa, they do things a little differently. In Iowa, they have these thresholds you have to hit in diverse contests such as this, and so Feenstra is going to have to secure some 35% of the vote, or Steen or Lon, who are still within striking distance of that, And if they can manage to do that, they would win the nomination. However, if no candidate in this race can hit that 35% threshold, it doesn't go to a runoff, it goes to a nominating convention. And this has happened in recent years in Iowa, and we could see it happen again. This is probably the most likely race we could see it happen because there are three pretty well-established candidates in this contest. And so this is the race that we're going to be watching very closely for the potential of not getting a winner. And then after all the voting in Iowa tonight, we may have this ultimately go to the hands of the Republican Party members who attend the state convention later this year to select a nominee. So again, those are some of the races that we're watching right now. We're also monitoring the Associated Press for updates on when they may declare some of these contests tonight. We'll be monitoring that as well. Just checking to see if they've made any calls here in Iowa. There were a number of other states across the country holding primaries tonight, and so there are a lot of unaffiliated calls in those states right now, as many of those contests were taking place tonight. But the Associated Press not making any calls just yet, as just a very early number of votes have come in so far this evening. All right, let's go over to the race for U.S. Senate. On the Republican side, Ashley Hinson running away with it. I would not be surprised to see this race called relatively quickly this evening for Congresswoman Hinson, as she is giving up her seat to seek that Senate seat left vacated by Republican Joni Ernst after serving 2 terms. On the Democratic side, Josh Turek holding a 70-30 lead over fellow Iowa lawmakers, Zach Walz. Right now, just under 5% of the vote in right now. But what we're keeping an eye on in this race is where those votes are coming from. And right now, we have, let's see, 4, 6, 8, 9 counties reporting numbers. The bulk of these numbers you see on your screen are coming from Polk County, of course, the capital of Iowa. Turek getting a very strong support there. Turek, one would argue, was largely supported by the party over Zach Walz, even though they're both state lawmakers. They really lined up with Turek, but both got a fair amount of financial backing, both in largely in small donations, rather, I should say. And right now, Turek is maintaining a lead in nearly a dozen states now, or counties, excuse me, now reporting early results. But what we're going to see is what the margins between these two are in Lynn and Johnson County in eastern Iowa, because if Walz can run up numbers in those counties, particularly Johnson County, his home county, that could help turn the tide a bit. But again, if Turek continues to hold a lead of this size in so many counties, big and small, even Johnson County couldn't make up that difference for Zach Walz. So right now, Turek holding a strong lead, is now just over 5% of the vote has come in. Let's go back over to the governor's contest right now, and just checking for any calls in the races. So far, no. Again, Randy Feenstra holding his lead right now, getting up above that 35% threshold that he needs to get in order to secure the nomination tonight. Zach Lahn, Adam Steen beginning to fall further behind, but they are splitting a lot of the vote early on, just over 2% in right now. But we do have a number of counties reporting, and like in the Democratic contest, a good chunk of these numbers coming in so far are coming in from Polk County. And Polk County, at least, where we have about 2,000 votes counted so far, it is really split down the middle. 30% is the higher, 31% for Randy Feenstra, 30% for Adam Steen, 22% for Zach Lahn. So very, very tight margins there. Randy Feenstra really hoping to run up the numbers in some of the bigger Republican counties in western Iowa. He's really going to need that. He's also doing well in the early count in Dubuque County, a little bit of a redder county in eastern Iowa, a large Catholic population there. And then Muscatine County down west of Davenport in the Burlington area, just getting some new numbers in there. Feenstra holding the lead. Right now, though, as we're looking at brand new numbers that have come in, I'm not sure if these have updated displayed yet on the screen, but we're getting a large vote count coming in from Polk County, and there it just came in. Look at that. Zach Lon now taking the lead as a huge amount of votes have just come in from Polk County, and Zach Lon has a 40 to 30% lead over Feenstra in Polk County, and it's very reflective in those numbers because that's the majority of the votes that have been counted so far. So if Lon is going to hold strong margins in Polk County, which is a very, very evenly balanced county between Republican and Democrat, I would argue it leans a little bit to the conservative side, but pulling in very strong numbers over Randy Feenstra, and Feenstra is really going to have to get these numbers higher in western Iowa. He's really going to be looking towards Sioux City and those areas to get those numbers up to overcome this. And again, all of these candidates not only have to worry about winning the most votes, but if nobody gets 35%, and right now Zach Lon is holding that, if nobody gets 35%, the leading vote getter may not get the nomination because it will be up to the party convention to nominate the ultimate candidate in this contest. So a major shift there as a large number of votes were just counted in Polk County, the largest county in Iowa, and Zach Lon now leading Randy Feenstra in the GOP primary for governor. Now let's take a look at the other some of the other statewide races to see how those vote totals changed, and no surprise, Ashley Hinson continuing to pull ahead of her Republican challenger, Jim Carlin, the congresswoman seeking the Republican nomination for Joni Ernst's Senate seat. On the Democratic side, a little bit tighter, but not too much. So we'll take a look at where some of these numbers are coming in from. And largely, again, Polk County, Josh Turek with a 2-to-1 advantage over Zach Walz in that Polk County vote. But again, we have no numbers yet from Lynn County and Johnson County in eastern Iowa. Johnson County, the home of Zach Walz, arguably the bluest county in all of Iowa. Lynn County, quite a bit more purple, but very large population there that could boost numbers for Walz if he is able to get stronger support close to home. Those are the areas he would like to do it. Also, there is the Quad Cities area. We have no numbers in from Scott County, where Davenport resides. And right now, Turek is leading in every county almost uniformly 2-to-1 over Zach Walz. But this race getting a little bit tighter as we've gotten now about a fifth of the precincts in. Most of those now coming in from Polk County. It looks like nearly the entire count in Polk County is now in. So Josh Turek's advantage there. Not going to get a lot more votes from that area tonight, as it looks like most of the vote in the most populous county, Polk County, is now in. I would imagine with that, and we do have a call here that's just coming in, and this is not a surprise. There you see Ashley Hinson, the winner of the Republican primary for U.S. Senate in Iowa. Hinson, the three-term congresswoman from Northeast Iowa, residing in Marion, Iowa, in Lynn County. She will win the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate, the Associated Press now projecting. And she will face off against the Democratic nominee to be determined. But right now, the Council Bluffs native Josh Turek leading that contest. Democrats really hoping that he can side with independents and even some conservatives unhappy with the current administration. And he is maintaining a strong lead over Iowa City native Zach Walz, 64 to 35%, with now 20% reporting. But again, as we've been talking about, the vote almost entirely in from Polk County and no numbers yet from Johnson County. Can they make this difference up for Walz? It's going to be difficult. It's really going to depend on turnout. And we did hear from Iowa Secretary of State Paul Pate today, who said that he was quite surprised that the turnout was rather low this year for these races, with all of the money spent, particularly on the Senate side of the Democratic race and the Republican side for governor. We expected maybe some higher totals, but it appears that those vote totals are coming in rather low this year in Iowa, and not sure what that is going to entail. One other bit of election news coming down the pike just seconds ago. The United States Supreme Court has allowed Alabama to use its congressional map favoring Republicans in this year's election. Obviously, that has been a major fight between Republicans and Democrats after Texas redistricted to give Republicans 5 additional seats. California responded to that, and now we see an escalation from Democrats and Republicans in red and blue states to try and redistrict the maps and essentially gerrymander themselves additional seats. And so that is where we stand right now. Here in Nebraska and Iowa, not really a lot of potential on that. As in the case of Iowa, there are 4 congressional districts. There is some independent review that goes into drawing those districts, and they are very large districts, so it would be very difficult to really split seats like that. And of course, here in Nebraska, we have the same issue with the exception of the blue dot, which Democrats are hoping they can win back that Omaha congressional seat and flip a seat in the U.S. House. But back to Iowa tonight. There you see right now the headline of the hour, Zach Lahn leading the race for Iowa governor. On the Republican side, this is an open race as Republican Governor Kim Reynolds chose not to seek re-election. She has endured some rather low poll numbers, but despite those low poll numbers, she has won re-election twice now, but did not choose to go for a third time. And as she had drawn a lot of criticism from President Trump after endorsing Ron DeSantis in the 2024 Republican primary for president. Zach Lahn now leading this contest, 37 to 31% over Randy Feenstra. If that margin were to hold, he would be the nominee. But again, he has got to keep that margin above 35%. And so if he doesn't get that 35% in Iowa, this goes to a nominating committee and vote totals go out the window, and we could see this swing towards Feenstra's way if he doesn't get it to swing his way tonight. Just checking some of the county by county data that we have here. Much of the vote count coming in from central Iowa right now. Most of it coming in from the Des Moines metro area. I want to check out some of the House races here and see if we've got any updated numbers there. And in District 1, this is likely going to go Christina Bohannon's way, but a lot of votes still left out there. On the Republican side, incumbent Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks holding a 73-26 advantage over second-time challenger David Pouch. This will likely go her way as well. Now to District 2, Lindsey James holding a strong lead over challengers Kathy Dolter and Clyn Tweet Ball. This is an open seat as Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson has decided not to seek a fourth term and instead run for the Senate, and she has secured the Republican nomination for Senate tonight. On the Republican side, to succeed her as the nominee, Joe Mitchell holding a nearly 2-1 lead over Charlie McClintock for the Republican nomination. But as you see there in the left side of your screen, less than 2% of the vote in, as the vote counting in eastern Iowa coming in very slowly. That's, as somebody who's lived most of his life in eastern Iowa, that is not new. And Cedar Rapids will be the big decider in this contest. And right now, no numbers are being reported from Lynn County. District 4, Dave Dawson pulling ahead of Ashley Wolf Tornabane and Stephanie Steiner for the Democratic nomination for House District 4. This is widely considered to be a far-gone conclusion, though, that the Republicans will hold on to this as it is by far the reddest House seat in the state of Iowa. Some of the other contests tonight, Chris Kornhoyer maintaining a 60-40 advantage over Abigail Mass with 12% of the vote in for a state auditor on the Republican side. This is the one statewide contest that Democrats have won in the last 2 elections. Rob Sand has served as state auditor now for 8 years, and he has chosen to give up his seat in order to run for governor. He ran unopposed, and he is the Democratic nominee for Iowa governor. Now, for some of the State House races we're keeping an eye out on in the First Alert 6 area, State House District 12, Democrat Dustin Durbin with the early lead with just 7% of the vote in. District 15 on the Republican side, no numbers in yet, and no numbers in on District 17 on the Republican side, where Sean Kelly is challenging incumbent State Representative Devin Wood. All right, there is the headline of the hour, the governor's race tonight, looking the most interesting at this time. Certainly not exactly what Feenstra wanted to see. We are monitoring the campaigns tonight as well as, let's see if we have any of our live pictures up just yet. Ashley Hinson hosting a party tonight. She is expected to come out shortly, or likely will come out shortly to accept the Republican nomination for Senate. We're also monitoring the Feenstra campaign, obviously way too early, as you can see there, and we're also monitoring the Lahn and Steen campaigns as well for any updates from our reporters in the field there as well. There you see the Republican nomination, Ashley Hinson, the winner. She will be the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. We do not know who she will take on, as she has left her U.S. House seat to run for this contest, and we do not know the Democratic nominee for this contest between Josh Turek and Zach Walz. Turek with the early lead, but still too close to call. We do not have any other calls yet by the Associated Press. This is the one contest that has been called, and we continue to monitor all of our camps out there for any updates from the campaigns. I want to see if we have... Okay. Let's get an update on the Democrat side. Almost a quarter of the vote in now for the race for U.S. Senate, and still a strong lead for Josh Turek. Beginning to run away with this right now, but the one thing that I'm sure that vote watchers are going to keep an eye out for is Eastern Iowa, and let me just make sure. No numbers have come in from Johnson or Lynn counties just yet. Those are where Zach Walz is going to really need to run up the numbers tonight if he is going to overcome this early deficit with just about 22% of the vote in for U.S. Senate on the Democratic side. Now on the Democratic side for U.S. House District 4 in Northwest Iowa, Dave Dawson with the early lead, just 3% of the vote in on this one. District 2 on the Republican side, this is the seat currently held by Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. Joe Mitchell with the early 60-40 advantage over Charlie McClintock, but again, just 2% of the vote in Northeast Iowa. Lynn County will be a big decider in this contest. U.S. House District 1, Marionette Miller Meeks likely to run away with this one, but just 2% of the vote in at this time. Almost 7% of the vote in U.S. House District 2. Lindsey James with the early lead, but that is largely due to the fact that most of the vote in District 2 is coming in from Dubuque County. And so Lindsey James, a Dubuque native, getting a big boost there. We'll have to see if she can hold on to that lead as the other counties, particularly Lynn County, begin to report in. I can speak from past experience. Lynn County tries to get their numbers out very quickly, and it usually ends up getting delayed for about an hour. So Lynn County could be a big factor in a couple of races tonight to determine who the nominees are on the east side of Iowa. Again, on the Republican side, though, right now Joe Mitchell holding a strong lead. But again, we will have to see what happens when Lynn County Republicans start reporting their numbers here in the minutes ahead. On the auditor side, Chris Cornoyer still holding that 60-40 advantage right now over Abigail Mass for the Republican nomination. As Republicans hope to win back the auditor's seat, as Rob Sand has left it in order to run for governor. Who Rob Sand will run against as for the governor's seat, which is open to debate right now. Republican Zach Lahn leading Congressman Randy Feenstra, 36 to 32%, still just above that 35% threshold needed to win the nomination. But there you see just 15% reporting right now. And so there is a long way to go here, but Lahn getting rather strong support from Polk County, the largest county in Iowa. Most of the vote there is in, and Lahn earned nearly 40% of the vote in Polk County tonight, as we will wait to see what Feenstra can pull in from Northwest Iowa. Of course, Feenstra, the congressman from Northwest Iowa, a very, very red part of the state, but also a very rural part of the state, and it's not clear exactly how many votes he's going to be able to squeeze out of his congressional district, or if his constituents are going to tie him to President Trump. And how the administration has been working in these last 18 months with strong dissatisfaction for the president's policies on Iran, immigration, and particularly on the economy. All matters, with the exception of Iran, that President Trump largely won the White House again, pulling in very strong poll numbers on those matters in 2024. So as we continue to watch these totals come in, this again is the race of the night that is giving us the biggest surprise so far, as Zach Lon leading Randy Feenstra, who many perceive to be the front runner, although many admitted that because this race is so fragmented and there is a lot of support coming in for both Zach Lon and even Adam Steen, that this could fragment so much it could put this race in danger for Feenstra, as it could go to either a nominating committee or he could outright lose. And right now, Zach Lon, if these margins were to hold, would have enough to secure the Republican nomination. But as you can see, 15% of the vote in, and highly unlikely that those margins are going to stay, as some pretty large population centers are still out there tonight with the numbers that we have right now.
Lee Hinson's going to be our next senator.
All right, let's take you live now. That is Iowa Republican chairman at the lectern at Ashley Hinson's party tonight. Obviously, they want to really get enthusiasm to hold this Senate seat in hopes of holding the Senate. Right now, let's listen to Chairman Kaufman at the Hinson campaign.
Couldn't be any better than that. We're going to start this evening's program, as we should, with the prayer and the pledge. So I'd ask to come up to the stage Peggy Smithson, a longtime supporter. Her and Leland were everywhere and every place when Ashley first started out. And Jonathan Langenberg. And Jonathan is a longtime supporter and an engineer at Rockwell. Peggy, I'll give you the microphone.
It's hard to follow this gentleman. Let us bow in prayer, please. Loving Father, we are filled with joy and anticipation this evening as we celebrate this primary victory for Ashley, for all of us, for the state of Iowa. We are so thankful for your loving guidance through this portion of her campaign.
Okay, we're going to come back out here live for just a moment, as they are giving a prayer in the hall there right now, and it is a little hard to hear it right now. Not many people are as loud as Chairman Kaufman. I can personally vouch for that. But Hinson, as we said, has secured the nomination for Senate on the Republican side. That was sort of a foregone conclusion, and they are going to be starting the party there rather quickly in hopes of really getting the momentum going, because this could be a tight contest between the Congresswoman and her eventual nominee, as we are awaiting the final results between Zach Walz and Josh Turek. Right now, Josh Turek with the wide lead in that contest. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at those numbers right now, as Kaufman has given the stage away here for just a moment. And Turek, we've seen these numbers get a little bit closer, 64 to 35%, still a very strong lead for Turek right now, with 22% of the vote in now. But what we've been keeping an eye out for is where those votes are coming from. And so far, they are not really coming from eastern Iowa. Lynn County and Johnson County, I do not believe, unless there's been an update, we do not have any numbers from either county. No numbers from the Quad Cities. Once those come in, if the margins continue to be in Turek's favor, we could see a call in this race here in the not too distant future. All right, let's go back out live now to the Ashley Hinson campaign. They are giving the Pledge of Allegiance right now, and then we expect to hear more from State GOP Chair here, Jeff Kaufman.
Thank you, Jonathan and Peggy. So here we are. I actually, on a personal note, I have a dramatic political born-again experience here, because I moved from being vigilantly neutral to now we're forming our team tonight. The grassroots have clearly spoken. The grassroots of Iowa, we are a bottom-up party, have clearly spoken, and they have determined that Ashley Hinson is going to be our nominee, and Ashley Hinson is going to be the next senator from Iowa. That's a fact. Now, she's got a battle ahead of her. There's no doubt about it. They're coming after her. We're not talking about millions. We're not talking about tens of millions. We're talking about literally hundreds of millions. And this is hundreds of millions from California. This is hundreds of millions from New York. This is hundreds of millions from, I wouldn't even say Illinois, Chicago. So this is from the political underbellies of the United States political system. You couldn't get money pouring in here that's any more in contrast to what Iowa values are. The money is going to smell. There's no doubt about that. Josh Turek, he's already weighed in. Chuck Schumer has already weighed in. Literally, $10 million they've already dumped in to put this fellow so that he can oppose Ashley. $10 million already. And guess who he's going to listen to? It absolutely is not going to be the people of Iowa. Absolutely is not going to be the people of Iowa. I see we got members of the House in here. You all know exactly who Josh Turek is going to get his orders from. It's going to be Chuck Schumer. It's going to be the left. It's going to be California. It's going to be New York. It's going to be a lot of fancy commercials that run counter to that. But all you need to know is where he's getting his marching orders tonight. I will guarantee you Chuck Schumer was probably the first call that he took. That's the battle that we're in, and it couldn't be any more important than what we're going to do tonight. This is the battle for Iowa values. This is absolutely transcendent and beyond red versus blue. This is way beyond that. Yes, Republicans have a 200,000 vote advantage, and we're going to take full advantage of that. But we've got independents and we've got Democrats. We've got conservative Democrats that don't want Chuck Schumer determining our policy that we can win over here. And we've got the most absolutely engaging, workaholic, pro-conservative, pro-family Iowan to lead that charge, not only for her Senate race, but she's going to lead that charge for GOP up and down the ticket. And that's Ashley Hinson. And she's going to Washington. She's going to Washington as a senator. Now, make no bones about it. This ain't going to be pretty. Politics is a full team sport, and we're going to be duking it out with some of the dirtiest that you can find in the country. But we've got the right person. Ashley Hinson is not your typical Republican. She is 24/7. She already has been. She's going to ramp it up. Somehow she's going to squeeze 26 hours out of a day, I would assume. She's not going to forget who brought her to the dance. She's not going to forget the grassroots. She's not going to forget tonight when she comes out here. She's not going to forget you. You all have spoken. All of Iowa has spoken. And we've got the candidate that can lead us. And to hear from some folks that know Ashley very, very well, I'll invite up to the stage. We have three people that are going to talk this evening. Wayne Koitner, Landis Wiley, and Doug Rinker, if you'd come on up. And I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Come on up.
I'm a hard-working man. I wear a steel hard hat. I can ride.
Okay, some constituents now coming up to speak on behalf of Congresswoman Hinson. Again, she has secured the Republican nomination for Senate as she is giving up her House seat. Hinson, a former journalist in Cedar Rapids, left television and ran for Congress and has won 3 consecutive terms to the well, excuse me, actually she served terms in the Iowa State House first before taking on the U.S. House over the last 6 years. But Congresswoman Hinson now securing the GOP nomination for U.S. Senate. We expect to hear from her shortly tonight. We do have some breaking news now, as we now know who her opponent will be. The U.S. Senate race in Iowa now set. It will be Republican Ashley Hinson against Democrat Josh Turek. Josh Turek now projected by the Associated Press to be the Democratic nominee in Iowa for Senate. There you see a large number of new votes coming in. He is holding that 2-1 advantage. And Josh Turek has held off a challenge from fellow Iowa lawmaker Zach Walz of Iowa City. The Council Bluffs native has secured the Republican nomination, or excuse me, the Democratic nomination. Make sure I get that right. The Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate in Iowa. That is a major, major win for Turek, and we now have what could be a pretty close Senate race now all set in the state of Iowa. This is a race that now that Democrats believe that they can flip this seat, a seat once held by Democrat Tom Harkin for many years. Harkin retiring in 2014, and in that case, a congressman from northeast Iowa decided to run for Senate, and he was defeated by a state lawmaker from southwest Iowa, Joni Ernst. And now we have a Republican congresswoman, again from northeast Iowa, now trying to stave off a challenge from a state lawmaker in southwest Iowa. It's just that the parties are flipped this time, and Josh Turek will be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. Again, we will take you back live to the Hinson party as we get more information and the candidate eventually takes the stage tonight. We're also monitoring some of the other contests out there and some of the other watch parties. We need to go back to that Republican primary for governor. There you see a extremely close race as Zach Lane is now holding a lead with more than 35% of the vote, which is needed to secure the nomination over Congressman Randy Feenstra, who has served, I believe, 3 terms in Northwest Iowa and is actually 4 terms perhaps, and he is trying to win the Republican nomination for governor. The winner of this contest, whether we get the winner tonight or the selection later, will face Democratic State Auditor Rob Sand, who ran unopposed in the Democratic primary for governor. Sand, the only Democrat elected to a statewide office in the last several years, holding the state auditor seat for 8 years now, and seen as a moderate candidate, a avid hunter, an outdoorsman, and rose to prominence before being state auditor, working in the auditor's office and helping to prosecute one of the largest cases of fraud, the lottery scandal that erupted. He helped bring convictions in that case. There you see we do have, we're getting some of these numbers now at the bottom of your screen. We will start scrolling those there as well. Again, the headlines of the last hour, we have a matchup now set for U.S. Senate. It will be Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson versus state lawmaker Democrat Josh Turek of Council Bluffs. Hinson of Marion, they will face off in the Senate race in November. Vote totals now coming in rather quickly as we go through some of these. Christina Bohannon likely to become the Democratic nominee a 3rd time for District 1. She will face off likely against incumbent Republican Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks a 3rd time. Both of them with strong leads in their the early vote counts there in District 1, just not a lot of vote total yet, and so these races have not been called. And as soon as I say that, guess what happened? Christina Bohannon, the Associated Press says Christina Bohannon will secure the Democratic nomination for U.S. House District 1. Bohannon of Iowa City will be the Democratic nominee for a 3rd consecutive time. So Christina Bohannon, you should see that check. There you go, the check mark just popping up with those new numbers. She is the Democratic nominee for District 1 in eastern Iowa. She will likely face off against incumbent Republican Marionette Miller Meeks. This race not called, although at this point it appears to be all but a foregone conclusion. District 2 right now with new numbers coming in. Lindsey James holding a strong lead over Kathy Dolter and Clint Tweet-Ball, but a lot of Lynn County votes left in this one. On the Republican side, with Congresswoman Hinson now running for Senate, Joe Mitchell holding a lead over Charlie McClintock by a near 2-to-1 margin, but just 7% of the vote in on the Republican side in this contest. District 4, Dave Dawson holding a lead for the Democratic nomination in northwest Iowa. State Auditor, we're beginning to see the numbers get a little bit tighter here, but Chris Cornoyer remains the leader for the Republican nomination for State Auditor. District 12 for the Iowa House here in western Iowa, Dustin Durbin holding an early but strong lead in that open contest for the Democratic nomination. On the Republican side, District 15, this is very split. I think that's the best way to say it. Very few votes in and a very close contest. So we will leave it at that as these numbers are likely going to change quite a bit. And finally, the Republican nomination for District 17, incumbent Devin Wood and challenger Sean Kelly. No vote count yet in that contest, so we will, of course, keep an eye on that for you tonight. But again, this is the headline of the hour as Zach Lane is now ahead Now ahead of Randy Feenstra, the 4th District Congressman from Iowa. Adam Steen pulling in 18% of the vote. Eddie Andrews pulling in 5% and bringing up the rear Brad Sherman with 4%. But with all these candidates pulling in decent numbers and a major split now, as you just saw, a big number of votes just coming in. And look at that. Randy Feenstra catching up to Zach Lane now, just less than 500. I believe 498 if my C in high school math doesn't fail me. 498 vote lead for Zach Lane over Randy Feenstra. They are both at that 35% threshold now. And so it's really going to depend on how many more votes are out there, not only for these two, but also for the other candidates. If any of the candidates, and right now it appears to be a two-person race between Lane and Feenstra, can get the 35% needed to secure the nomination. Just checking real quickly, no other calls. Looks like the call for the U.S. Senate race on the Democratic side, which came in, Council Bluffs native Josh Turek will win the nomination over Iowa City native Zach Walz. Both of these gentlemen, state lawmakers. It appears the reason that the Associated Press has decided to call this particular race is we now have about 40% of the vote in from Johnson County. That is Zach Walz's home county, and the margin is not great. Right now, Zach Walz holding an 11-point advantage in Johnson County alone, and does not appear to have the votes needed to make up this difference. So Josh Turek will be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Iowa. He will face off against Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, who has already been declared the winner of the Republican nomination in Iowa for the U.S. Senate. Let's take you back live now to the Hinson camp, where Iowa GOP Chair Jeff Kaufman is addressing the crowd right now.
Ashley Hinson has a backbone of steel. And I put my notes away. I'm just going to tell you what I've observed. I saw her for the first day she went into the Iowa House of Representatives. She's got a backbone of steel. She's got a keen intellect. She leads. And she's also got the heart and she's got the tenderness of a mom. And that's important. And I've got some proof for you in terms of just how good of a job Ashley Hinson does in the most important role, and that is of mom and wife. And I believe we have two. I don't even have to give a long introduction to Max and Jax. Max and Jax, come on out here.
Are Max and Jax, and our mom is, of course, Ashley Hinson. You might remember us from the Food Fight campaign ad from a few years ago. From what our mom tells us, Washington is still messier than our kitchen after we filmed that ad. We don't totally know what that means, but if it's got anything to do with cleaning up like she has at home, she'll definitely need to work in Washington for a while longer.
Our mom is awesome. She works really hard, teaches us, and makes sure we have everything we need. She's the best mom, and one thing we brothers can agree on is that she will also make the best senator for Iowa. Please welcome our mom, Ashley Hinson, to the stage.
Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist.
And there is Congresswoman Hinson with her husband Matt as they are taking the stage with their kids Max and Jax. Hinson, after 3 terms in the U.S. House and serving in the Iowa House prior to that, she is now the Republican nominee for Senate for Iowa. Here now is Congresswoman Hinson.
Courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Good evening, and thank you so much. It's so great to be here with so many fine patriots from the great state of Iowa. You know, when we launched this campaign, we did it in the only way that we know how. Full speed, no hesitation, no holding back. But it has been such an honor to visit with supporters of all 99 counties in this state, and I can tell you, guess what? I have been to all of them. I am just so proud of the people who powered this campaign and helped to deliver a resounding victory here tonight. I'm going to be your next U.S. Senator. So from getting out there and making those calls, knocking a lot of doors, spreading the good word, fighting that good fight, our campaign for Iowans is made up of Iowans. And that is exactly what gives us the strength and the armor to step into this general election and make sure we fight it with everything we need to win. Are you with us to get that done? So I want to say thank you again for how hard you've all fought. We are counting on you to stay the course because we are just getting started. And I want to say tonight to Jim, thank you for putting your name on the ballot. To Jim's supporters, I look forward to earning your vote and making sure we win this election in November. So Iowa has been blessed with some of the strongest leaders in our country, and to have earned their support through this campaign has been an honor, and really it's some extra fuel for the fire. So first I want to start with Governor Reynolds. Governor, you have my word. I will never stop fighting to make Washington, D.C. run more like the great state of Iowa. I think we can all look at what's happening in Washington and know that they would be well served to take some leadership notes from our great governor, right? So thank you so much, Kim, for your legacy of service to our great state. Senator Grassley, it has been a privilege to call you my friend, and I look forward to serving alongside you in the United States Senate. And finally, to my fabulous friend, Senator Ernst. She is leaving behind some pretty big combat boots to fill, but like I've told her and Iowans across the state, she has spent the last 12 years sending Washington's fattest hogs running for the hills. And when I pick up this baton in November, you all have my word, the squealing's not going to stop, it's only going to get louder. There is simply no better way to honor someone who's given so much to our state and to our country as Joni has. So I just want to say thank you, Joni. You have some big combat boots to fill, and we will get that job done. So thank you so much, Joni Ernst. And then the last name I want to mention tonight, pretty familiar name to all of us, I want to say thank you, President Donald J. Trump. Hear that, Mr. President? I was cheering pretty loud for you. And we know that no one has fought harder and persevered through more, sacrificed more, just to do the right thing for our country than our president has, right? Yep. Earning his support and endorsement in this race is not something that I take lightly. It is an honor and a responsibility that I will carry with me these next 5 months into November. So thank you, President Trump, for your service to our country. And of course, to my family, my boys, Max and Jax, and my wonderful husband, Matt. I could not do this without all of them. They are the reason that I stepped into the arena, so thank you to my boys for being here tonight and having my back. Thank you, guys. Love you all. So Matt does a lot while I'm gone, by the way, if you can imagine. So I always joke that serving in Congress, the best thing you can do is have teenage boys because you're negotiating with unreasonable people and the hygiene's bad. So thank you, guys. I know you make jokes. You did shower today. It's fine, right? Yeah. They don't think that's as funny as I do, by the way. But, I do think that my kids, like all of yours, should have the opportunity to grow up with that American dream right in reach, right? And we know that after years of reporting on the issues on the news and then telling the stories of our great state, that it was time to step up and do something about it instead of just talking about it. I wanted to really help Iowa families, and so that is why I am here tonight. That's why we're all here tonight, right? We want to make sure everybody has that opportunity to live the American dream, the Iowa dream. And we know just 2 years ago, our nation was on the brink, right? We all saw what was happening. The leftist policies and an auto pen presidency were crippling our country. They left families falling behind. Our borders stayed wide open, and dangerous criminals were roaming free in our country. Our schools were misguided, and that left our kids unprepared. We saw our nation growing weaker and our adversaries growing emboldened. But Americans spoke loudly and clearly and sent President Trump back to the White House and Republican majorities back to Congress to clean up that mess and get our country back on the right track. And we are doing that every single day. So we got to work. We started delivering that meaningful relief. We cut taxes on tips. We cut taxes on overtime. We cut taxes on Social Security for our seniors. We delivered relief for small businesses and family farms. We secured those borders. We took on the gangs and the cartels. We shut down drug and sex trafficking, and we sent criminal, illegal aliens back to where they came from. And we sent a message to the world that America's back. That's right. And I think the results speak for themselves. The nationwide murder rate right now is at a 125-year low. There has been a full year of zero illegals released at our southern border. And we are finally putting an end to the waste, fraud, and abuse of your... Are you happy about all that progress? That's results. And I think that is all absolutely good news. But let me talk about something that keeps me up at night. And I know this is what keeps you up at night, too. Because despite all of that progress, we know we have a long way to go, right? We have more to do. We have more to do to lower the cost of groceries and gas. We have more to do to help young Iowa families afford their first home and make sure that child care isn't more expensive than the mortgage payment. We have more to do to help support the farmers who do so much to feed and fuel our world and do so much for us. We have more to do to ensure our veterans, like the one you heard from tonight, have the support that they need. And we have more to do to make sure that we lower the cost of prescription drugs and protect Social Security for our seniors. Those are all your priorities. I know that Iowa needs a fighter to get these things done, and I will tell you this, I will never back down from a fight. My boys know that too. Somewhere else in Iowa tonight, a liberal Democrat was chosen to run against us, to oppose us, to stop us. Well, I will say this. While he's been masquerading as a good old Iowa moderate, he is nothing of the sort. In fact, he supports and will fight for the same radical and destructive policy agenda that pushed America to her breaking point and left you all to foot the bill. Do you want that as your next United States Senator? No, we don't. He would mean more taxes, fewer jobs, higher prices, less certainty. He puts illegals before Americans, before Iowans, criminals before victims. And he would be a rubber stamp for the same radical policies that tear at the fabric of our country and have hollowed out once great American cities. Well, I say, not in Iowa. No way. Are you with me? That's just not who we are. Iowans expect and frankly deserve to have your voices heard in Washington. And look, I have visited the biggest cities across this state, and I have visited the smallest city in Iowa with 11 residents. I have visited with people from all walks of life. Whether we agree on politics or not, we've had some great conversations, but I haven't met one yet who believes in the agenda that my opponent embraces. So I'm not really sure what common ground that Josh Turek thinks he's going to find in Washington, D.C., but I would say this, if he wants to be in the U.S. Senate that badly, he ought to pack up and move to New York City with his friends Chuck Schumer and AOC, because Turek does not share our values, he embraces their values. But as I look across this room tonight and see this beautiful flag, Old Glory waving, I know this. We will not have to worry about him representing Iowa because we will defeat him in November and carry on delivering for this great state. Now, I'm going to level with you here because I think you know at this point, I tell it to you like it is, right? We know that the fight ahead of us is not going to be an easy one. We know the political left is as desperate as they have ever been. Their existence right now in American politics and governance is crumbling. But that will only push them harder to attack us with everything they've got. So we know they will raise unbelievable sums of money, and then they're going to use it to continue to distort reality on our airwaves, in our mailboxes, on our phones, and at our doors. The machine will crank up, the attacks will come like never before. And they'll say anything. They'll say anything about me, about my record, about President Trump, and they'll even say anything about all of you in this room. So what I would say is, challenge accepted. Let that spur you to work even harder. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when we win, results will follow. You've seen this story before, and I have delivered for you. We are going to make cutting taxes a priority and make life in America affordable again, to make it easier to buy the things that your family needs and afford a house, arrange childcare that doesn't cost you another full-time job. I've written the checks for childcare. I see some young parents in this audience tonight. I know how much that costs the family that's trying to get by. We are going to protect Social Security and Medicare for our seniors because when we make promises in this country, it is our duty to keep them. And we are finally going to take on big health insurance and big pharma and cut the ridiculous cost of prescription medications because no one, no family should ever have to treat a medical decision like a financial one. We are going to keep scrapping the waste, fraud, and abuse that you are paying for and restore some honest stewardship in government spending. Accountability is here, and if you've got to tighten up your family budgets, I think Washington, D.C. should do the same. And here's what I'm particularly passionate about. Many of you probably heard me talk about this, but we're going to do what we should have done a long time ago. We have got to ban members of Congress from trading stocks. The days of turning public service into self-service are over. The way I see it, Congress should not be a casino, so I think it's wrong, it's nonsense, and it's going to stop. Are you with us on that priority? So these are the kinds of priorities that Iowans expect their leaders to fight for. And as your next United States Senator, I will do just that. So mark my words here tonight that I will continue the way I've always governed. I will work with anyone, no matter their party, who shares these values and wants to deliver for you for what you deserve here in Iowa. My record is of bipartisan results for Iowa, and that is exactly what I will deliver for you in the United States Senate. I also think destruction via obstruction should not be tolerated, so I am running to solve problems, not just make a statement. We will win, and when we win, Iowa will win. So here is what I need from every single person in this room tonight and every single person who's watching tonight. I need you to stay the course, stay the fight. We're going to need a lot of people out there knocking doors. We need people who are willing to pick up the phone and get those calls done. We need Iowans who are tired of the excuses, the dysfunction, and tired of sending people to Washington who forget who sent them there in the first place to show up in November like everything depends on it. Because guess what? It does, right? This is the most important election of my lifetime. And we are not waiting anymore. We will deliver. Again, to my family, Matt, Max, Jax, and Bandit at home, I love you, my boys. So, Iowa, I love you too. Let's go win this thing. God bless you. God bless Iowa, and God bless the great United States of America. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congresswoman Ashley Hinson addressing supporters tonight as she has secured the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate, the seat that Senator Joni Ernst currently holds for Republicans and chose not to run for re-election. She will face Democrat Josh Turek in November, the Democrat from Council Bluffs and state lawmaker who has won a seat in the Iowa House in an area usually dominated by Republicans. He will be the Democratic nominee, defeating Zach Walz earlier tonight. Walz just addressing his supporters in Iowa City at the same time as Congresswoman Hinson, so we were unable to bring that to you as he conceded defeat to his fellow state lawmaker Josh Turek. And he will again be facing off against Congresswoman Hinson for the Iowa Senate seat currently held by Republican Joni Ernst. There you see Hinson celebrating with her supporters there as she has, as expected, secured the nomination, but the Republican Party making a big case of this because they want to ensure that Hinson can hold this seat for the Republican Party as the balance of power is expected to be up for grabs in both chambers this year. As Democrats are hoping to take back both chambers. You heard Hinson obviously aligning herself closely with President Trump despite his low poll numbers. We have not seen many candidates steering away from the president, as generally that is not a good idea. If President Trump speaks out against you, that generally is the end of your political career. So Hinson has been a strong supporter of President Trump since joining the U.S. House in 2020. She spoke out strongly against the attack on January 6th. She has maintained that criticism, but has largely been quiet on efforts, not only President Trump's pardoning of those who committed crimes on January 6th, but the recent effort, which has been torpedoed. In fact, just today, the acting Attorney General telling Congress they will not pursue a $1.7 billion settlement fund for those they feel have been wrongfully convicted by the Department of Justice. So Ashley Hinson, the Republican nominee for the state of Iowa in the U.S. Senate. And she will be taking on, after obviously a decisive win over Jim Carlin tonight, she will be taking on Democrat state lawmaker Josh Turek, who defeated by nearly a 2-to-1 margin Zach Walz. Just 52% of the vote in, but these margins have been holding throughout the night in most of these contests. We don't really expect them to change all that much as we move through the next several hours here as the last numbers slowly but surely come in. Again, I want to thank everyone that's joining us tonight. Nick Weig here with you at the Alert Center in Omaha as we're continuing to follow the results in the Iowa primaries this evening. We've had several calls already, but we have one that we do not have a call in, and this is a big one. Democrat Rob Sand is the nominee for the Iowa Democrats for governor, the only statewide elected Democrat in the last decade from the state of Iowa. He will be the Democratic nominee. He ran unopposed in the primary. As for who Republicans will nominate for governor to try and hold on to the governor's seat, we don't know. Take a look at these numbers in. Nearly half of the vote now in. Zach Lane is holding a lead over Republican Congressman Randy Feenstra, 37 to 36%. Just about 1,100, just under 1,100 votes separate the two candidates. 16% by Adam Steen, 6% by Brad Sherman. And the five candidates in this race splitting the vote so much could put this in jeopardy, although both Feenstra and Lane are now ahead of the 35% threshold needed to secure the nomination. So they are certainly hoping whichever one comes out on top, they will hit that, and this will not go to a nominating committee. We're also standing by for a speech from Josh Turek tonight. We are monitoring his campaign as well. And we're just going to get a quick check of where our crews are right now as I'm monitoring monitoring live shots across the state right now as we have people all over the place tonight. Let me see if we can get this up here for you. Yes, let's take you out live right now. This is the Josh Turek campaign, where he is expected to take the stage. State lawmaker Zach Walz, fellow lawmaker Zach Walz, has already taken the stage and conceded tonight's contest to Turek. So again, as you see, Turek will face off against Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson in the race for Senate in Iowa. He is expected to come out shortly and address supporters there. So again, Josh Turek has won the Democratic nomination for Senate. He will face off against Republican Ashley Hinson. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to tonight's results so far, as we are now passing 9:15 in the evening, and not sure what happened there. There we go. Not sure why it froze like that. Zach Lane maintaining a slight lead of about, looks like about 12, little over 1,200 votes over Congressman Randy Feenstra. Lane trying to maintain that lead. Both of the candidates are above the 35% threshold, so that would be enough for the leading vote getter to secure the nomination. This was widely seen as a three-person race with Lane and Feenstra the leading candidates. The big question is, would any of them get enough votes to get that 35% needed to secure the nomination? Feenstra has served a number of terms in Congress as from District 4 in Northwest Iowa. And he was widely seen as the likely candidate in this as the likely nominee in this contest, but obviously with a wide field and several established Republicans running in this contest, that became less of a foregone conclusion as the situation continued to develop during the campaign. And Zach Lane right now holding that lead in the Republican primary right now. Now, Lane is the Sioux City graduate, earning a bachelor's degree from the University of Colorado in 2009. He is a farmer and businessman here in Iowa and has been an outspoken Republican for many years now, as he is now leading the Republican primary in Iowa for governor. The winner of this, whether it is Lane or Feenstra, will face off against Democratic State Auditor Rob Sand, who ran unopposed in the Democratic primary for governor. And that contest will come in November as they try and hold this governor's seat for Republicans here in Iowa. Again, for the Senate seat in Iowa, this race has been decided. Ashley Hinson, the three-term Congresswoman from Marion, Iowa, will be the Republican nominee for Senate in Iowa. Democrat Josh Turek, state lawmaker from Council Bluffs, will be the Democratic nominee, defeating fellow state lawmaker Zach Walz. That is the contest for Senate. This is a seat Democrats are really hoping to pick up. This is not one they necessarily need to take back the Senate, but they would like to have it anyways, as the margins are going to be awfully tight. Yeah, you heard Congresswoman Hinson wasting no time attacking Turek and his national supporters in the Democratic Party, as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Turek, again, the Council Bluffs native, has served at the State House for a number of years and defeated his fellow lawmaker Zach Walz tonight. Taking a look at some of the other contests, we have had another call. Christina Bohannon has secured the Democratic nomination for U.S. House District 1 in Iowa. She will face off against Republican Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, as she has now formally been declared the winner of the Republican nomination, defeating David Posh of the Quad Cities for a second time in the primary. Lindsey James also declared the winner in the District 2 Democratic nomination for U.S. House in Iowa. This is in Northeast Iowa. It includes the cities of Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, and Waterloo. James, the Dubuque native, was widely seen as the frontrunner in this race, and with Congresswoman Hinson running for the Senate, it is still too close to call who will succeed her as the Republican nominee in District 2. Joe Mitchell still holding a near 2-1 lead over Charlie McClintock. But I am going to presume the reason for that delay, as we take a quick look here off camera at our county by county data. I don't believe we have about I'm not checking to see what vote count we have here from Eastern Iowa, and trying to see what we've got from Lynn County, and we're not getting the numbers here, so let me see if I can find them another way. Lynn County had been a little bit behind on election results tonight, and that could be a big swing of votes one way or the other. We saw that happen as Polk County numbers came in Des Moines, swinging the Republican race for governor from Randy Feenstra to Zach Lane. Working to see if we can find those election results here directly from the Iowa Secretary of State. And Lynn County right now, just 8% or 8% of the potential votes counted. Roughly 12% of precincts reporting in Lynn County. That is the widest or the largest tranche of votes in District 1. Still waiting for numbers in that one, and so that is why we have not yet seen a call in this contest. Just checking the Associated Press to see if we've had any other calls tonight. No other calls tonight. Coming back out here on camera while we're talking politics, we want to go ahead and keep you up to speed on some other breaking news of the evening. The U.S. military says Iran has fired missiles at Kuwait and Bahrain that failed or were shot down, and the U.S. launched strikes on an Iranian facility in response. The Associated Press reports the attacks happened after Iran stopped communicating with mediators about extending a ceasefire in the war with the United States and Israel. President Trump disputed the claim and said talks were continuing. The reports come as Iran insists the fighting in Lebanon is part of the wider ceasefire talks with the United States. Israel and the U.S. maintain Israel's fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon is separate from the Iranian war talks. So, by all accounts, the efforts to end the war with Iran not going well. The market's responding to that news today as oil prices again shot back up several percent. Gas prices expected to follow as usual after falling slightly over the last few days. But again, one of the major issues that President Trump is tackling right now that has been a major drag on his poll numbers heading into the midterms appears to be no closer to a resolution. All right, let's go back to that tight race for the Republican nomination for governor tonight. Zach Lane of Sioux City maintaining that lead over Congressman Randy Feenstra. Both candidates over 35% right now, so if that maintains, the leading vote getter would become the Republican nominee and face off against Democrat State Auditor Rob Sand for the governor's seat in November. Just checking to see if we have any other updates from our candidates tonight. It appears Lindsey James, the Democratic nominee in U.S. House District 2, is speaking to supporters in Dubuque right now. Let's go ahead and take you there live as we are still awaiting comments from Josh Turek yet. Here's Lindsey James, Democratic nominee for U.S. House District 2.
I'm a chaplain. I've been serving in the Iowa legislature. Some of you may know me as a feisty redhead. But for those of you who may be introduced to me for the very first time, I just wanted to share with you that I didn't come into this work from a boardroom or a lobbying office. I came into this work through a seminary. You may or may not know this about my story, but I was impacted by one of our most critical moments in the life of our country, 9/11. On 9/11, I learned that I had lost a friend and a classmate. Diora Bodley went down with the Heroes in Flight United 93 that went down just outside of Pittsburgh. That was a moment in my life and in the life of our country where I knew I had to do more. I had to respond in some way to that moment. And all of us responded very differently to that moment, but I actually chose to want to understand why there was so much religious division in our world. And so I decided to study theology, and I went to seminary. And there I became a pastor and would later become a chaplain working on college campuses. And for those of you who don't know what the work of a chaplain really is, the work of a chaplain is about showing up in people's hardest moments. It's about bringing people together across difference. It's about breaking down divisions and barriers. And so I came into this work with that as my starting place. But I had a deepening sense of call in another critical moment in the life of our country. Right after the 2016 election, I had a conversation, yes, I hear that sentiment. I had a conversation with my then 6-year-old daughter, who was very distraught about the state of things. And it was in that moment where I had another deepening sense of call. I knew that this would be a moment that would require more. And this time, that deepening sense of call wasn't about religious division, it was about political division. Because I was watching our very communities, our families, and our friendships being torn apart by political division. And I started watching a political system that seemed to be utterly rigged in favor of the ultra-wealthy. And then I started to see too many of my Iowa neighbors were making impossible choices because of their economic realities. And so I decided to do something. I decided to run for the Iowa State Legislature, so I ran. I knocked 10,000 doors. Try to catch up, Sam Wooden. Congratulations on your race. I knocked 10,000 doors. And I started to hear story after story of my neighbors making impossible choices. And you know what I did? I went and I won that election. You know why? Because I knew I had to fight for them every single day. And so that's what I did. I fought for my neighbor, the mom, who was making the impossible choice. Do I pay for my utility bill? Or do I buy my daughter a winter coat? The dad, who is struggling with the impossible choice. Do I pay my rent or put food on the table for my kids? The family who is struggling with making a medical decision. Do I pay for my rent? The man at Table Mound Mobile Home Park, whose conversation will never, ever leave me. This man said to me, I'm making the impossible choice. Do I pay for my rent and keep my mobile home? Do I pay for my insulin medication and keep my foot? Too many families in Iowa making impossible choices. And so you know what I did? I went to the Iowa legislature and I spent every single day, every opportunity I had to have a microphone or a megaphone, I was going to tell their stories. And I went against the corporate lobbyists. I went against the big insurance firms who were fighting to, increase costs for everyday working families. And I fought for policies that would lower costs for Iowans, fought for capping the insulin costs. I fought against private equity firms who were fighting to take away the very homes that so many of my neighbors had built over generations. And I fought against them, and we passed policies to do more affordable housing and work like that. I have been fighting against folks, the special interests, the ultra-wealthy, and the corruption that I saw on a state level, and now it's time to take that fight to Washington, D.C. I want you to know that I am ready to take this seat, and I want you to know that I am ready to say some hard truth, because I am not afraid of the truth, and I'm not afraid to say what is hard, because that is what chaplains do. We meet people in their hardest moments, and we say what needs to be said. So I want to start with some hard truth right now in this moment. It is clear to every single one of us that that big, beautiful bill is only beautiful for who? Billionaires.
Billionaires, that's right.
Yes, it is only beautiful for billionaires.
Yeah.
It is clear that the results of that big, beautiful bill has meant that 27,000 Iowans are at risk of losing their health care. We've already seen job losses for medical providers in Mason City lost 34 jobs. Grinnell lost 100 jobs. We saw a clinic close in Traer. I talked to an OB/GYN in the rural part of this district who said to me he was afraid to retire because he didn't know who would deliver the babies in the community. So many impossible choices that folks are making because of harmful policies coming from Washington, D.C., and enough is enough. It absolutely does not have to be this way. There are policy solutions that are simple fixes. We can invest in affordable housing and programs to build out homes for our young families who are trying to build their life here. We can work on reversing the Medicaid cuts that have drained resources out of rural healthcare systems in our state and in our district. There are so many policies that we can put forward to address the rising costs of groceries and gasoline. We just need someone who's willing to say what is hard, to speak truth to power, and to do what is right by their neighbor. These aren't just policy failures coming from Washington, D.C. These are moral failures. And it's time for a change, but I've got to tell you, there is a lot of hope ahead because the shifts on the ground are undeniable. But I'm not going to mince my words with you right now. We have had this moment of celebration and victory, but the road ahead is going to be tough. Let me tell you about my Republican opponent, Joe Mitchell. This is a person who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He is a member of the ultra-wealthy class. He is going to show up on your television sets and he is going to claim that he is a political outsider and that he is going to go to Washington, D.C. to fight the system. Do not believe a thing he says because he will say anything or do anything.
We're going to break away from Lindsey James in eastern Iowa because Josh Turek, the Council Bluffs native, is now speaking to supporters after securing the Democratic nomination for Senate in Iowa. Let's go ahead and listen
address
in.
rising costs, stagnant incomes, and out-of-control corruption in D.C. Iowans all over this state have heard our message and felt hope that we can change this state and change this country. Tonight is proof of that. I first want to congratulate Zach Walls on running a strong campaign. He and I, yes, absolutely. He and I just spoke on the phone. Zach has been an exceptional representative for his district and a true public servant. Grateful for this primary. It has made me a stronger candidate. Every one of you to join our campaign to push for change. Together we are going to build an Iowa that people move to, not away from. In my travels through the state, wherever I go, I hear the same things. Iowans are hurting. Families are struggling just to keep food on the table and a roof above their heads. Farmers are living in constant fear of foreclosure. We are in a senseless Middle East war that is driving up gas prices here at home. Our rural communities are disappearing. Hospitals and schools are closing here. Our public schools are falling behind. Iowa is now nearly dead last for economic growth, personal income growth, OB/GYNs, mental health providers. We have closed 250 more healthcare clinics than we've opened in the last 15 years. We have a cancer crisis, a water quality crisis. This is not the Iowa that I grew up in. This is not the state that we all love. But I am feeling hope here in Iowa for the first time in a very long time. And this is because Iowans know that we need change. The status quo is not working. We need a fighter for the people, not for the billionaires, large corporations, and political donors. And this is our chance to change this state. My story is truly the American dream. In no other country on earth could someone born into a working class family from Council Bluffs, Iowa, who went to the Goodwill, shared clothes, had the wrong color lunch ticket, who was born with my disability of spina bifida due to my father's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam, who had 21 surgeries before the age of 12, be able to represent the United States in 4 Paralympic Games and bring home 2 gold medals and represent their community in the legislature. Only in America is that possible. And I am running for the United States Senate to protect that American dream for future generations. I got into politics just 4 years ago because while working in healthcare, I saw firsthand how the privatization of Medicaid was leading to a 1,000% increase in denials and delays for people with conditions like muscular dystrophy and Lou Gehrig's disease. It was fundamentally wrong, and I decided to do something about it. So I ran in red Western Iowa to represent my hometown in the Iowa legislature. I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless, for the Iowans who cannot afford a lobbyist. I won that first race by dragging my wheelchair upstairs every single day to talk to voters, regardless of party next to their name. Neighbor by neighbor, Iowan by Iowan, I won them over. I won that first race by just 6 votes. So never doubt that your vote matters. It does, and it can be all of the difference. I won that race because there's more that unites us than divided us. They trusted I knew what they were going through because I had lived it myself. I've had to fight my whole life, and this is what is needed in DC. People who have gone through real struggle, who know what it's like to not have enough, who know what a gallon of gas costs, who have had to put groceries on a credit card. We have enough millionaires in DC looking out for billionaires. We need real people in Washington who have felt the consequences of a broken system, because when you have gone through real struggle, you will have a different level of empathy and a different level of fight. And this is what we need in DC, fighters for the people, and that is what I will be in the United States Senate. Not someone like Ashley Hinson, who has voted to take health care away from 110,000 Iowans just to give tax breaks to billionaires. She voted to make health care more expensive, so 119,000 Iowans saw their health care premiums double and even triple. She backed cuts to veterans' health care. She voted 4 times in favor of the tariffs that have decimated our farmers. She supported raising the age for Social Security. She even sponsored a total abortion ban, even as 93% of Iowans say it goes too far. Ashley Hinson is a multimillionaire who has increased her wealth by up to 10 times since she got to Congress, and refused to support a ban on members of Congress and their families from owning and trading stock. She has taken over $3.6 million in corporate PAC money. She does not represent Iowa and does not represent our values. And tonight, Iowa, we have had enough. So my promise to you, I am going to the United States Senate to fight for a livable wage, to drive private equity out of housing and healthcare, to fight for affordable and accessible healthcare and prescription drugs for all Americans, because I believe that healthcare is a human right. To make it so doctors decide care, not insurance companies. So people like my sister are never told again, sorry, you can't get a PET scan, you don't have enough cancer yet. To fight for women's reproductive freedom. To fight for our public schools, because I believe public money belongs in public schools. The cancer crisis that we're having in this state, the water quality crisis that we have in this state, because every single Iowan deserves drinkable water, and to have billionaires pay their fair share, to fight for campaign finance reform and transparency, to fight to get dark money out of politics, because we can have oligarchy or we can have democracy, but we cannot have both, and enough is enough. I'll be fighting for term limits, banning members of Congress and their families from owning and trading stock. And I'll mandate that every single member of Congress holds at least 1 annual town hall, because legislators should be accountable to their constituents. All of this is what I'm going to the United States Senate, to fight for all of you, because I will be a senator for all Iowans. Whether you voted for me today or not, whether you support me in November or not, I will fight for you, all of you, no matter what. I want to thank everyone that has supported me, all of you. To my wife, to my family, my friends, thank you for your support and thank you for all believing in me. To my staff, to our volunteers, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. To each and every person that knocked the door, made a phone call, donated money, put up a sign, and most importantly, entrusted me with your vote, genuinely thank you. For 30 years, this state was represented by Tom Harkin, the father of the American with Disabilities Act. He was a true prairie populist that fought for the people of Iowa. This is our chance here in Iowa to once again have a senator that is going to fight for the people. If you are tired of this rigged system only looking out for billionaires and leaving the rest of us behind, then join us. Whether you are a Republican, an independent, or a Democrat, there is room here for you in our campaign. Together, we can win this race. And together, we can change this state and change this country. My name is Josh Turek, and I am running to be your next United States Senator from Iowa. Join our campaign and let's push for change here. We can change this state, change this country.
Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in Iowa, Josh Turek, addressing supporters tonight in Des Moines after defeating fellow Iowa lawmaker Zach Walz. He will now take on Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson in the race for U.S. Senate in Iowa. Democrats hoping to win back a seat that they have not held since 2014. When, as you heard Turek mention, the Senator Emeritus from Iowa, Tom Harkin, retired from Congress in 2014. Harkin, of course, famous for spearheading the Americans with Disability Act and gaining bipartisan support, including from then President George H.W. Bush. Senator Harkin still active in Iowa as he has a foundation now in Des Moines at the Drake Law School, and so he would not be surprised to see Senator Harkin get off the sidelines and stump for Josh Turek in this very pivotal contest as Democrats and Republicans are vying for control of the U.S. House, or excuse me, of the Senate and the U.S. House for that matter. And the seat in Iowa could play a pivotal role in that, as Democrats have failed to win a statewide race here in Iowa in well over a decade. 2008 may be the last time, to my recollection. 2008 until 2018, when State Auditor Rob Sand won his first election statewide. Sand giving up that seat this year to run as the Democratic nominee for governor. And as we're talking about governor, I want to go ahead and bring our numbers back in here, because that is the key race that has yet to be decided tonight. Rob Sand will be the Democratic nominee for governor, but on the Republican side, it remains too close to call. Take a look at these numbers with over 70% of the vote in. Zach Lane from Sioux City has maintained his lead over Republican Congressman Randy Feenstra. Right now, 37 to 36%, about 14, just under 1,400 votes separating the two candidates, with roughly, I'd say, 160,000 votes tabulated so far, but again, nearly 71% of the vote in right now, and Zach Lane has maintained that 1-point lead over Randy Feenstra now for much of the night, and it appears that he has the inside track for the Republican nomination for governor in Iowa. Both candidates remain above 35%. They have remained there for most of the night, and that would increase the chances that this will be decided in this vote tonight. There was concerns if no candidate received 35% of the vote that this could go to a convention nominating committee, but it appears barring a major shift in the votes towards Adam Steen, Brad Sherman, and another candidate in this race, the leading vote getter will have the 35% plus one needed to secure the nomination tonight. And right now, Zach Lane is leading Randy Feenstra by just under 1,400 votes. Actually, some new numbers come in, so let me try and do my head math here again real quick. He has, I believe, increased his lead now by more than 2,600 votes, almost 2,700 votes, if I'm doing the math correctly, and I sincerely apologize if I'm not. But yeah, I believe he is now leading by more than 2,700 votes over Randy Feenstra. So that lead is getting larger. There you see another tranche of numbers coming in, fast and furious now as we're heading much later in the evening. We're coming up on our 10 o'clock show. I want to let our viewers know if you're watching us on our website, I'll be dropping the feed off here in just a little while so that we will switch over to our live coverage in our newscast on our website. If you'd like to stay with our election result coverage, we are going to still be streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, I believe, and you can join us there as well as watch the First Alert 6 news at 10. But again, Randy Feenstra falling further behind in the latest numbers behind Zach Lane, still just 1 percentage point apart. We're going to fortunately have to do a little math here to figure out if there's any potential for a recount. I do not believe so. This does appear to be the gap widening here, and this is likely not going to qualify for a recount. But we will keep an eye on that as the numbers continue to come in, the final votes coming in. I apologize, I can't put this up on the screen, but we're going to go ahead and check the county-by-county data in this race to see exactly where those remaining votes exist out there. There are still a lot of votes in the Ames area. Nothing from Story County in central Iowa is coming in at this hour. We're also keeping an eye out for any other vote totals that may be coming in from western Iowa. We still have a number of votes out. Sioux City, almost 2-to-1 advantage for Randy Feenstra there, but most of the vote is in. Harrison County, another county that we have no numbers reporting yet. The big prize, Scott County, is probably the largest county left out there. We have 3/4 of the vote in from Lynn County. We have nearly all of the vote in from Polk County. So it appears that in terms of population centers, we're going to have to see a big swing for Randy Feenstra in Scott County if he's going to make up this difference. He can still pull off a number of rural counties. I'd say there's at least a dozen Iowa counties that have not reported any results yet, but most of those are rural counties, and there's not a lot of vote to be had there. And to be honest, Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra are splitting the counties tonight. Zach Lane winning some of the bigger counties, Lynn County, Polk County, large margins in those counties tonight, helping his cause. Randy Feenstra pulling up bigger numbers in a handful of moderately sized counties, but Lane taking the majority of the vote not only in the big population centers, but in many of the rural counties as well. The Highway 30 corridor is where Lane is getting a lot of support, as well as the Highway 20 corridor, and then more of the extreme southern and northern and eastern portions of the state is where Feenstra is finding his most support tonight. But the avenues for Feenstra to make up this difference are rapidly closing, as you see there, still holding about a 2,700 vote lead over the District 4 congressman, and Zach Lane, the farmer and businessman, is inching closer to becoming the Republican nominee for governor. The winner of this contest will take on Democratic nominee and state auditor Rob Sand in November. Sand, widely considered to be a popular moderate here in Iowa, and has earned a lot of attention on the national stage as the only statewide elected Democrat in Iowa, and Democrats believe that he is the key to flipping this seat that Republicans have now held since 2011. So 15 years now, Republicans have held the governor's chair here in Iowa after 12 years of a Democrat holding that seat here in the state. So a lot on the line here as Randy Feenstra giving up his seat in Congress to run for governor. And right now, Zach Lane is pulling ahead, approaching 3,000 votes ahead, as we're now just at about 74% of precincts voting. Let's go down the line here through some of our other contests now. Here, the race for Senate now set. Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson with a decisive victory over Jim Carlin. She will face off against state lawmaker Josh Turek of Council Bluffs. He defeated fellow lawmaker Zach Walls of Iowa City by a near 2-to-1 margin. Over in District 1, this includes the Iowa City area. Christina Bohannon, the Democratic nominee for a third consecutive time, and for the third consecutive time, she will face off against Republican incumbent Marionette Miller Meeks, winning her primary against David Pouch. Over in District 2, Northeast Iowa, this includes Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, and Dubuque. Lindsey James running away with the Democratic nomination. This is her first time securing that nomination. She will face off against Joe Mitchell, who has been declared the winner. According to the Associated Press, he will get the votes needed to become the Republican nominee, replacing Republican Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, who is now the nominee for Senate. And in District 4, Dave Dawson maintaining an advantage over Ashley Wolf-Tornabane and Stephanie Steiner, and maintaining that 35% margin that he needs. But no call yet in this race for District 4 in the Democratic nomination. Another statewide race we've been keeping an eye on. Chris Cornoyer has been maintaining their lead in the Republican contest for state auditor against Abigail. A couple of state house races we're just keeping an eye out here in southwest Iowa. District 12, the Democratic primary, Dustin Durbin holding a 2-1 lead over Brady Meyer. District 15 on the Republican side, Jason Scherer, not a lot of vote in, and it looks like Jason's got a 1-vote advantage early on here, but obviously too close to call between these three candidates, as they got 92% of the precincts available left to count in this one. And in the Republican primary for Iowa State House District 17, incumbent Devin Wood, who had been trailing for much of the night, now pulling comfortably ahead with 30% of the votes in that district over challenger Sean Kelly. Those are the races that we're watching tonight. And we will continue to watch as we move through the rest of the evening tonight. Again, this is really the last major race that we are keeping an eye out on tonight. We're also keeping an eye out on all of our live transmissions tonight as we continue to monitor for any additional speeches, but not really seeing any that we're going to be latching onto, because I believe we've heard from all the major candidates tonight, with the exception of the Republicans running for governor. And right now, this remains too close to call, with nearly 70, now 80% of the vote in, and getting a little bit tighter now. As you just saw, a big tranche of votes just tabulated there, and we're now back down to about 2,400 votes, I want to say. I'm going to go ahead and get the old calculator out here, as we're now getting down to this one remaining race in this contest, and see exactly where we're standing here. So I am done doing head math for the night. So just under 2,600 votes now separating Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra. Still too close to call. Now with just under 80% of the votes in the Republican primary for governor. Of course, there was no official Democratic primary tonight, as State Auditor Rob Sand will be the Republican nominee, or excuse me, the Democratic nominee for Iowa governor. Rob Sand, currently the state auditor, has served 2 terms as a state auditor in Iowa, and he is now seeking to flip the governor's seat for the Democratic Party. And we still do not know who his challenger will be, as we are very closely watching these numbers coming in the race for the Republican nomination for governor. There were 5 candidates in this race, 3 pulling in double digits, and there was real question as to whether or not anyone in this contest would pull in the 35% needed to secure the nomination tonight. It appears that that is going to happen. The question is, will it be Zach Lane or will it be Randy Feenstra that turns out victorious tonight? We've been keeping an eye on where these numbers are coming in, and right now I can tell you that there are over a dozen counties still not reporting any results yet tonight. The biggest county among those is the county of Scott. This is where the Quad Cities is located. No numbers in there. That is going to be probably what poll watchers are going to be keeping an eye out for. If we get some big numbers in from Scott County and the race appears as it is right now, there are very few avenues left for Randy Feenstra to pull this out, as there's just not going to be that many votes left out there tonight. So again, Nick Weig here with you from the Alert Center here in Omaha, as we continue to monitor the results coming in from the Iowa primary for our viewers in Western Iowa and anybody across the country or around the world that's interested in this. We do still have one major race left outstanding tonight, and that is for The Republican nomination for governor, of course, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds has served for more than 2 terms. She took office in 2017 after Iowa Governor Terry Branstad, the longest-serving governor in American history, resigned his seat in order to become President Trump's ambassador to China during the president's first term. Then Lieutenant Governor Reynolds finished out Governor Branstad's term and then ran on her own for her own term in 2018, defeating Fred Hubbell in that contest, and then winning a second full term in 2022. This time she has decided, after some turmoil with President Trump, most notably endorsing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in the Republican presidential primary over President Trump. She has decided not to seek re-election. Presumably, obviously, the official word is to spend more time with family and to retire. Of course, the governor is of retirement age, and that is certainly an honest opinion. But of course, being on the outs with President Trump, it may have been seen as unlikely that she could have won the nomination another time. And that opened up this race to where we see right now. And Zach Lane has the inside track and has maintained that inside track for some time now. Although, as we get some more numbers in, I just want to make sure that my math is correct here. We're just at about 82.4% of the estimated vote is now in. And right now that margin is getting tighter, and that is going to raise some questions about where we go from here. So Zach Lane was up by nearly 3,000 votes just 5 minutes ago. This is now down to 1,100 votes. 1,115 votes separating these two candidates now, with 82% of the vote total in. And I'm not very good at the math of that, but that may bring us into the realm of a potential recount if these margins do not change. Just confirming what I believe to be true. So the rules are a little bit different in Iowa than they are in Nebraska. The margin of victory, in order for a recount to be requested in a statewide race such as this, is 0.15%. Not 1%, 0.15%. Now, there are avenues to request a recount if the margin is higher than that. But it would be highly unlikely that a recount would be ordered unless there were some questionable results during the canvassing that takes place after every vote across the country. So 0.15% is the magic number. The margin right now is 1,100 votes. We're going to have to see. Let me pull up our statewide data on this. And we will see just how many votes we have in this contest, because this may be pushing into that margin of error that could trigger a recount in this contest. So the statewide numbers are trailing what the Associated Press is reporting. So the Secretary of State's website offers their own data. They're not, essentially they're only reporting the counties that have completely finished counting the vote for the night. About 2/3 of the counties in Iowa have wrapped up their counting. There are 33 others that are still counting ballots right now, but some of them have reported partial results. So the Secretary of State's numbers right now trailing what you're seeing on your screen, and so the numbers show a pretty sizable margin for Zach Lane compared to what we're showing you right now. Officially, do we have partial numbers? That's the next question. Officially, voter turnout is sitting at just under 15%, so very low turnout in Iowa. So far, 304,313 votes have been counted, and doing the math with that, if all of those votes did include a ballot cast for governor, which the vast majority should be just that, we would be within the margin of error. Well, actually, would we be in the margin of error? We would be in the margin of error. Yes. So right now, this race is in the margin of error that we could see a recount if these margins don't change. We're seeing votes trickling in, and so we may. It is becoming possible that we may not get a projected winner tonight in this race, as the margin of space between the two candidates now has shrunk to, oh my goodness, 0.37%. So far below 1%. We're going to work on confirming some of this information. But we are getting awfully close for that margin of error there as these final numbers are coming in. We're seeing the numbers kind of fluctuate up and down as well as some numbers are being updated and then maybe pulled back here. We saw this too with the Nebraska numbers as just reporting data comes in with updated numbers, especially with partial counts coming in. We do have most of the vote now in several rural counties, many of those going to Zach Lane. Another one, Montgomery County, almost completely in, going for Randy Feenstra. But in these rural counties, the margins between the two candidates are very small because there's just not a lot of votes to be had. We are running out of counties not reporting any, but Scott County is the big fish tonight. If there's going to be any major shift in this contest, it's going to come from Scott County. Right now, the two candidates, Zach Lane has pulled ahead a little bit more now. So far out of the range of a potential recount at the moment. But again, Scott County is going to be the big decider. Once we get some major numbers from Scott County, depending on the margin, we could still see a call in this race tonight, but it is going to be awfully close, depending on how those numbers come in. Right now, Zach Lane, according to the Associated Press, these numbers coming to us from the Associated Press, with a 1,600 vote lead over Randy Feenstra, with about 145,000 votes between them on top of the other votes tonight. So very, very tight margin here, just 1,600 votes separating the two candidates. And we are getting awfully close as the final numbers are coming in. We don't know how many votes are out there. Most of the counties, and actually we did just get a major number of votes in from Scott County and Randy Feenstra. With 75% of the vote in, Randy Feenstra getting a boost there, about 500 votes for Feenstra. I cannot confirm that we have those numbers from the AP just yet, but we do see the margin growing a little bit tighter now. So we are going to confirm what we have from the Associated Press here on the county level. And I apologize, I can't put this on the screen for you to see. I wish I could. Okay, so the totals you see on your screen do include the significant vote totals that we just received from Scott County. I can confirm that for you. And let's take a look at the latest margin. We're up to 88% of the vote now in. And just double checking, we do not have a call in this race. I didn't expect that we did, but I just wanted to double check. Zach Lane right now has a margin over Randy Feenstra of 1,164 votes. So we are back down to a very, very tight race between the two candidates. Officially, we have 352,580 votes cast total, but we don't know how many are in this contest because obviously many of those are Democratic primary votes and those do not count towards this total. So all told, we officially have 180,793 votes that were cast in this contest, and we are flirting very close with that recount margin here in Iowa. But it is really going to come down to the final numbers that come in. There you see new numbers just coming in, and Zach Lane pulling ahead now with just over 1,400 votes ahead of Randy Feenstra, both sitting at 37% right now. According to my math, we're sitting at about 0.6% difference between the two candidates. Both candidates are over the 35% threshold. It appears that we are not going to have this go to a nominating contest. Just checking our data here on the recount laws in Iowa. I was familiar with them, but they have changed in recent years. So we are still sitting at the potential of a recount here. We are now at about 1398 votes apart between the two, with 87.7% of the precincts reporting now. So we are still sitting in a situation where there could be a recount requested, I believe, in this contest. So we are going to keep a very close watch on this as the numbers continue to trickle in. Zach Lane maintaining a lead over Randy Feenstra right now. The both are over the 35% threshold to prevent a nominating convention to pick a nominee. But it's not clear yet, and I have not heard from any of our sources what the candidates are planning to do tonight. Just checking in with our reporters across the state. We have not seen either candidate at their party as of yet. We are still awaiting to see if we're going to hear from any of them tonight. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have to wait to get those pictures up for you here shortly as we're standing by. We do have crews on the scene at the Zach Lane party, as well as the Randy Feenstra party tonight. But we do not have an indication when or if those candidates will be coming out to address supporters as these numbers continue to fluctuate in these final moments here of the vote count tonight. As we're up to now 87.7, and every time these numbers update, I'm punching in some numbers really quick to double check the margins here. We're still sitting at about a little over 1,400 vote margin for Zach Lane. I think it's safe to say that we're probably not going to get a projected winner in this contest unless the Associated Press sees something that gives them confidence that this is going to happen. But right now, a very, very tight contest for the Republican nomination for governor right now. Okay, we are going to take you live to the Zach Lane campaign in just a moment, but we do not have any indication whether or not he'll be addressing supporters tonight. I think it's safe to say, unless there's a big shift in this, we may not see a concession or victory speech tonight from the candidates in this contest, as the margin still continues to support Zach Lane, as it has for most of the night, but the margin remains extremely tight right now in this contest. As Congressman Randy Feenstra has been trailing for most of the night now. Again, we do have crews on the scene across the state at these watch parties. We've been bringing you speeches from Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines, and everywhere else across the state. And we were hoping to bring you speeches in this contest, but we're not sure we're going to get them, as we are now sitting at, there's another precinct reporting. We're now up to 89.1% of the vote is in. And so let's do the math again here, because I have given up counting in my head. We have a 1,433 vote advantage on your screen for Zach Lane. He has been holding that 1,400 vote advantage here for quite some time. And so I would say you would want to be in Zach Lane's shoes over Randy Feenstra right now. But again, this is too close to call. And it is quite possible a recount could be considered. And then also that we could see, we will not see a projected winner in this contest tonight. So we are going to work to get, I'm going to get these live shots set up for you. I just got to make sure I've got all my ducks in a row here. And we will get you out to those live shots momentarily. Okay. Just want to make sure we have everything we need here. This is, you're kind of getting a view at how the sausage is made right now behind the scenes. This is streaming, folks. We don't need to be as clear cut as we are on television. We got a lot of great people working on the newscast right now, so a lot cleaner production there. But we're kind of flying with things as they happen here. So we're gonna get this information here just as soon as we can, as we're trying to get to these live shots. Okay, hopefully that is coming up now, and this will work. Okay, let's go ahead, and if all goes well, we'll be taking you live now to the Zach Lane campaign. Yes, it worked beyond my spelling, so I do apologize for that. I will get that fixed here for you. And again, obviously supporters are gathered, and they are waiting right now. We have not heard if the candidate will be coming out to speak tonight. We have not heard from Zach Lane tonight. We have not heard from Randy Feenstra as of yet. And right now, too close to call. We've been sitting at this about a 1,400 vote margin between the two, as we've been showing you all night. I will see if maybe we can see if we still have a live shot from the Feenstra campaign. But again, you're looking live at the Zach Lane watch party tonight, where they were hoping to hear from their candidate by now, but obviously that has not happened because we don't have a winner in this contest just yet. Okay. Just checking to see if we have any updates from our crews in the field. We're working to get any and all information we can get for you at this point, as we are trying to decipher as more 83 of the 99 counties in Iowa have now completed their vote for tonight. And in that vote, this is just the vote of counties that have completed their counting. Some are reporting partial results. Those are the numbers that we've been showing you on your screen. But right now, the candidates are separated by 1.39% in counties that have completed their voting. Now, our margin, I'll go ahead and put that back up on the screen here, as we've been taking a look at the Zach Lane watch party. But our numbers are even tighter than that because the Associated Press does get partial results from counties. And so their numbers are a little bit higher than what the Secretary of State's office is reporting. But we're keeping an eye on both, because they are coming closer and closer together as more counties are wrapping up their vote in Iowa. And right now, 1,400 votes, if that, separate the candidates. We're at the point of the night where we're getting numbers trickling in precinct by precinct to the Associated Press, and so I'm going to do this again because it may have changed ever so slightly. But again, that margin continues to hold. 76, 798, yes, at 1,433 votes between Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra right now. So still far too close to call. Would not be surprised if we don't get a call at all in this contest tonight. And then we will have to see if candidates will decide. The candidate on the short end of the stick here may decide to issue a recount, or request a recount, I should say. That is certainly something that stays up in the air right now. So we are going to stick with this right now. We are checking in with some of our crews right now to get any updates that they may have for us. I do want to reiterate that there is no automatic recount in Iowa. It has to be requested by a candidate. The candidate can request the recount if it is within 1%. Generally, that doesn't happen in cases like this because it is, even with this sheer number of votes, unless there's some type of irregularity found or some type of error in the counting, it is highly unlikely that even at 1% or close to 1% that you are going to see a shift that will change the outcome. Usually you got to be much closer than 1%, but it is still possible, and it would be up to the candidate on the losing end of this when all of the votes are counted to decide whether or not it is worth going through that. So we are still in the realm of a potential recount. Officially, these are the latest numbers from the Associated Press. This includes partially counted counties. The Secretary of State's office in Iowa is reporting counties that have finished their count for the night. And in that count, which is just behind these numbers, the two candidates now are 1.16% away from each other. That would be far enough that it would be unlikely for a recount. But again, it is awfully close. There you see another update to the Associated Press numbers. We are getting kind of down to these final counts as these numbers come in. I've been keeping an eye out on exactly where the outstanding vote is out there. And a lot of it is smaller rural counties. These are the counties that oftentimes most counties in Iowa don't issue partial vote totals. They'll just send the final numbers and be done with it. It is the larger counties that generally send those partial numbers. There may still be some outstanding vote left out there in Scott County, which is home to the Quads, or half of the Quad Cities, I should say. And we will see if we can get an update on the numbers there, because we do not have final numbers from Scott County in this race. Okay, so we're going to go to the governor numbers. Scott County. Scott County still sits at 75% of the vote in that county. Randy Feenstra had a 41 to 36% advantage over Zach Lane. Now, that doesn't make up much of a difference. That's the difference of a few hundred votes. That would not make this up. There are not a whole lot of other counties that have not completed their vote for tonight. I have three counties, Lucas County, Montgomery County, and Greene County in southwest Iowa have not reported any results, but there's not going to be a lot of votes there. If this margin gets any larger, I don't believe we have any other partials. No, I do not see Lynn County. Lynn County now sits at 74%. So Lynn and Scott County have the bulk of the outstanding vote out there, with the exception of three very rural counties that haven't reported any numbers. And in those counties, Zach Lane doing well in Cedar Rapids, but just ahead of Randy Feenstra, essentially just above a split vote there. A little bit of a better advantage for Feenstra in Scott County. So I think this is where the numbers are coming down to the wire. I don't see any other larger counties that are reporting partial numbers. Just scanning all 99 counties as fast as I can. Almost all of the vote is in at this point. So here's the deal. We have three rural counties left in southwest Iowa. I believe just one of those is in Randy Feenstra's congressional district. We have 3 counties that have not reported any votes in this contest. That means there could be votes that could sway this, maybe a couple of hundred at most. There's just not a lot of votes in these rural counties. But we do have 25% of the vote not counted yet in Lynn County and Scott counties, 2 of the 5 largest population centers in Iowa. And that is why this still remains not only very close, but if the margin doesn't grow, we could get closer to that 1% margin that may give the candidate on the losing end of this the thought of issuing a recount. So we're continuing to monitor our feeds from area crews, working to get any updates from... No, we don't have any other updates from the 2 parties right now. We don't have any updates on the candidates and what they plan to do tonight. But we're keeping an eye on the Secretary of State office's website as well, because they're counting the counties that have completed the count. And actually, as I say that, we're now seeing more numbers come in, and Zach Lane has begun to pull away a little bit more. I'm going to see where those numbers came in. Those came in from Scott County. We did get more numbers from Lynn County, Zach Lane picking up some votes there, Randy Feenstra picking up additional votes in Scott County, and the margin has gotten wider. This is going to be close, but it is extremely unlikely with the amount of vote that's left out there and the performance of the 2 candidates. I don't see Randy Feenstra making up this difference. I don't believe there's enough vote out there for Randy Feenstra to pull ahead. However, he can still close this gap. And so I don't think we're going to get a projected winner here. And I'm not sure if we're going to get a concession, because there is certainly going to have to be some consideration about the possibility of a recount in this contest. We're working to get an updated look here. We're going to see if we have any update from the Feenstra camp. Okay. All right, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to take you out live now to the Feenstra campaign. As you see supporters there remain cautiously optimistic that they can make up this gap, but even if they don't, it remains extremely tight right now. The 4th District Congressman from Northwest Iowa is trailing Zach Lane right now for the Republican nomination for governor. So a very, very tight contest here. And we are continuing to stand by to see if we can get any updates on these numbers as they remain close. But Zach Lane does still remain in the lead. And right now, there you see the Lane Watch Party tonight. Obviously not terribly excited yet, but they got to be feeling good that they have been on the leading side of this contest almost the entire night. We're up to 95% of the vote in now across the state. We'll go ahead and put those numbers up here for you shortly. We now have most of the votes in from Lynn County, that's Cedar Rapids. We have all of the votes in from Scott County, that's the Quad Cities. All the major metropolitan areas are now reporting a full vote, with the exception, okay, this could be the last stand for Randy Feenstra here, is Pottawatomie County. Randy Feenstra, currently with 88% of the vote in Pottawatomie County, has a 54 to 24% advantage over Zach Lane. He has 2,000 more votes in Pottawatomie County than Lane. So he could, I still don't think he's got the votes to close the gap, but he could make that gap awfully close. I don't think he can overcome it at this time. But certainly there's enough votes there to make this a lot closer than it is right now. So let's go to the latest numbers that we have right now. There you see the margin between the two candidates still holding at about 1,600 votes between Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra. Very, very close contest right now. And we're also looking at numbers from the Iowa Secretary of State's website. And the reason we're comparing these is that the Secretary of State's website, their vote totals only include counties that have completed the vote count or have reported their final results for the night. There are 10 counties still outstanding right now. And according to the Secretary of State's numbers, the two candidates now are going to have to do the math on my own here. All right. Pardon me while I type out these numbers. There is 0.87% difference between Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra right now. That, according to the Secretary of State in Iowa, that is only including the counties that have completed their counting for the night. There are about 10 counties outstanding. The numbers you see on your screen are from the Associated Press. They include the counties that have partially counted their ballots. And right now, the biggest tranche out there, or that may be out there, is in Pottawatomie County, where Randy Feenstra has gotten the vast majority of the votes in this 5-person race. And that could give him enough to really shrink this deficit once those votes come in. But again, it is looking increasingly unlikely that he is going to overtake Zach Lane. It's just a matter of the margins here and whether or not it is worthwhile to consider a recount in this contest. So a very, very close race as we're coming down to the wire tonight. Both camps have not packed it in for the night just yet. We've been keeping an eye on both of the campaigns. Their supporters have not gone home. We're not sure if the candidates are there. We're not sure if they have decided whether or not they're going to come out and speak to their supporters, as it looks like we may not get a projected winner in this until tomorrow, or until they decide that we are not going to get a final number tonight. But right now, Zach Lane does still hold the advantage with about 10 counties outstanding, according to the Iowa Secretary of State's website. But those 10 counties, of those 10 counties, 7 are reporting most of their vote total. And the 3 counties that have not reported anything so far in this race are rural counties, and so there is just not a lot of vote left out there. We've got a little bit of vote left in Lynn County now reporting their final numbers for the night, it appears, so not much to be had there. We have Lucas County, Greene County, and Montgomery County now as the remaining outstanding counties. Pottawatomie County, where Randy Feenstra has done well tonight, still has a couple of precincts left to count there, but we don't know where they are. We don't know how many votes are going to be coming from those precincts, but that could close the gap. I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome it. Trying to see where the other counties are that are not reporting final numbers. And not really getting an indication here that it looks like we still have Cedar County. That's just east of Iowa City. Cedar County still has, I would assume, 1 precinct out. But to be honest, I'd be lucky if there's 100 votes there right now between the two candidates. But I'm not seeing many others left that the Associated Press has not received numbers from yet tonight. We're going to go back and look at the Secretary of State's numbers in Iowa. They're still saying that there are 10 counties that have not reported final numbers. And right now, the Secretary of State's office is reporting a much closer race than you see on your screen right now, although it is coming closer to the numbers that we have as more counties are reporting final numbers. Right now, very, very tight between the two candidates, about 0.87% apart. According to the Secretary of State's website, a little bit wider lead for Zach Lane, according to the Associated Press, as they're reporting partial vote totals coming in from counties. So the Secretary of State's website is reporting 90% of the precincts are in. The Associated Press is reporting 95.6% of the precincts are in because the Iowa Secretary of State's office is not giving us partial counts from counties. And so we still have those outstanding numbers. But it is looking increasingly unlikely that Randy Feenstra is going to close this gap. There you see another set of numbers has come in, and we're going to go ahead and do the math again here as Zach Lane has crossed over the 80,000 vote threshold. But Randy Feenstra right behind him, and the margin now has increased to 1,700. That is a fair amount larger than it was, and this ultimately will be a decision of the candidate to make, and Randy Feenstra. I do not believe the votes are out there for him to make up this difference. However, the question is what the final margin will be, and right now that final margin is awfully close. Right now we're sitting at 0.82%. So we're still under that 1% margin that many consider critical for requesting a recount. There is really no there's no automatic trigger of a recount in Iowa, but there's a general rule that 0.15% is probably as far as it can be to make a difference in a contest. And so it will be up to Feenstra if he does in fact come out on the short end of this tonight, whether or not he wants to continue this fight and request a recount across the state. But right now, Zach Lane appears to have the inside track for the Republican nomination for governor here in Iowa. I don't think we're going to get anybody declaring victory tonight. However, we will see. Feenstra will likely have to consider his options before he decides to continue this fight or to concede to Zach Lane. But right now, this is the race of the night. All of our other races are in the books now. And this is the sole focus of our attention as we are coming now on to, or we're actually going past the 10:30 mark right now. And Zach Lane still continues to hold that very slim lead over Randy Feenstra, but the margin has not changed much in the last hour. And the number of votes left to count grows smaller by the minute. So let's go ahead and we'll take you out to the Zach Lane camp right now, where his watch party, they are still holding on, hoping to hear from their candidate tonight. Apologies for my slouching. It's been a few hours. But we have not heard whether or not the candidate will come out tonight. Judging by the crowd there, I would presume they're still expecting to hear from him, whether he wants to declare victory or not. And so we are standing by for Zach Lane's speech tonight. We are also standing by with the Feenstra campaign tonight as well. There you see Feenstra has entered the crowd, so we'll see if we hear anything from him as he has joined the watch party there. If I can remember where this is, input 1, there we go. We'll try and bring up some audio for you here. And I apologize if it's loud. I have run out of the batteries in my earpiece, so we're going to do a quick switch here as it looks like Feenstra is going to take the stage and is going to speak. We have not heard if he has conceded, as this vote is very close, now at 96%.
No, that was a fun night, huh?
There he is. Let's hear now from Congressman Randy Feenstra.
Or end of a basketball game. Hey, we came up just a little short, but I just want to say, I just called Zach Lane, said, hey, you got to carry this torch. We got to keep this state red. You got to make sure you beat Rob Sand. I'm all in to help him out. We are going to make sure that we have him as the next governor. Well, I got my family up here. I have so many friends, and I mean, you're all friends and all my workers, and it's just so special to have everyone here. You know, the outcome wasn't what we probably wanted, but for me, I think for everybody in this room, God's got some awesome plans. And I was talking to my son about that. We got a new chapter, and I'm so looking forward to that new chapter in life. I've been in politics a long time, and you know what? God has now said, hey, Randy, we're into something else that's exciting. So I want to say thanks to my wonderful parents and my in-laws. They've taught me my faith. And you know, I don't know how some people get through this, but for me, I'm okay. I mean, my faith has taught me, right? My faith teaches me that you know what? We're going to further the kingdom in a different way. And so, you know what? I would just love, absolutely. This might be a little unprecedented, but we're in Hall, so let's quick bow our heads, all right? Our Lord and Heavenly Father, we come before your throne, and we just thank you for all the opportunities that you've given us. And Lord, I'm so blessed. I got all these friends around me, and I'm so blessed to travel the state the last year and seeing everybody, shaking everybody's hand, and see what great creation that you created, Lord. And I just thank you for this opportunity. And Lord, I just humbly ask that you continue to be with Zach Lane as he furthers the campaign and that he can glorify you in all that he does, Lord. And just thanks again for my family you've so blessed me with. And Lord, be with all of us now as we head home. And Lord, let us never hang our heads. It's so positive because we live in this great world that you created. In your name we pray these things. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Congressman Randy Feenstra answering the question of the night, conceding the race for a Republican nomination for governor in Iowa to Zach Lane. This has been the tightest race of the night all night long. Very quickly addressing the audience there. Undoubtedly, we were going to be hearing from Zach Lane here shortly as Randy Feenstra, the Republican congressman, conceding this tight race for the Republican nomination for governor to businessman Zach Lane. All right, let's take you live now to the Lane campaign right now as we are. I apologize for my typo there. I'll go ahead and take that off the screen there. We expect to hear from Zach Lane momentarily as Randy Feenstra has called and conceded the race to Zach Lane. Lane will, barring a major shift in the numbers, which we are not seeing right now, will be the Republican nominee for governor in Iowa. This is a seat that the Republicans hold in Iowa right now. Governor Kim Reynolds choosing not to seek a third full term in office. And so now with Feenstra having left the stage, presumably we will see Zach Lane come up and declare victory in the primary. This is a seat that has been a Republican stronghold now for many years, 12 years, in fact, I believe, after 12 years of a Democrat holding the governor's seat in Iowa. And so we are standing by for him to take the stage. I apologize for the lack of audio, but obviously the crowd, they're very excited as Randy Feenstra has conceded the race. He has called to Zach Lane's camp and conceded the contest tonight. And Zach Lane will be the Republican nominee for governor in Iowa. And he will face State Auditor Rob Sand, who ran unopposed for the Democratic nomination in Iowa. That will be the ticket in one of the more closely watched governor's races in the country, as Democrats are not only trying to win back Congress, they're trying to win a few governor's houses as well. And so this is a major win for the Lane campaign. This was a hotly contested race. We didn't know if any candidate would get the 35% needed to win this contest, but in fact, two candidates earned the 35% needed, but among those two, Zach Lane is coming out with the most votes tonight, and he is the Republican nominee for governor in the state of Iowa. There you see a live picture from the Zach Lane campaign. Let's go ahead and put those numbers up while we're waiting for the candidate to take the stage here. We've been watching this very closely for the last hour or so, and there you see the margin getting a little bit wider now, about 1,700 votes, and still right around or just under 1% difference. And most would say that is insurmountable when the final vote comes in. As we've been talking about, we've been watching. We still have 3 counties. Oh, one county did just come in support of Adam Steen. Randy Feenstra in Greene County coming in third. So 2 counties now with outstanding votes. And one county now is, I believe, Clark County now reporting their numbers almost even between the 2 candidates. The numbers simply just not there for Randy Feenstra. Zach Lane, although not projected by the Associated Press, he is going to declare victory as Congressman Randy Feenstra has conceded the contest tonight to Zach Lane. Let's take you back out now live to the Lane campaign where supporters are awaiting to hear from the apparent winner of this contest. This is arguably probably the biggest win of the night. While some of the other races were a little bit close, things have largely shaken out as many expected. Both on the Republican and the Democratic side for their nominees. This was probably the biggest question mark of the night. We do have a winner. Nobody is projecting the winner in this contest, I'm aware of. The Associated Press not projecting, but Randy Feenstra and his advisors believe that there are just simply not enough votes out there to justify a recount, and they have called to concede the race to Zach Lane. He is the Republican nominee for governor in the state of Iowa. Of course, this sets up 2 major races in the state that the national parties will be heavily invested in. The governor's race now between Zach Lane and Rob Sand will certainly attract a lot of attention, as well as the contest between Josh Turek and Ashley Hinson for senator in Iowa for the retiring Joni Ernst. That race will be hotly contested in a state that has been a Republican-dominated state now for over a decade, but has historically been a very purple state, and one that just a few years ago, Democrats had 3 of the 4 congressional seats. Well, now Republicans control everything and have year after year added to their majority in the state legislature. That's one thing we haven't really talked about tonight because of these larger primary races, but whether or not Democrats will get any ground back. I don't think anybody believes Democrats will take control of any chamber of the Iowa State House, but they have seen repeated losses in every election cycle for the last decade, and they want to see that reversed in a state that historically has been a lot more purple, a split leadership in the State House, and bounced back and forth between Republican and Democratic members of the House and Senate. In fact, for most of my lifetime in Iowa, it was 1 Republican and 1 Democrat in the Senate, Chuck Grassley and Tom Harkin. Now we have had all Republican senators from Iowa for the last 12 years, and that is going to be a big mission for Josh Turek to try and overcome that as he will face off against 3-term Congresswoman Ashley Hinson for the Senate race. But again, right now we are standing by for Zach Lane to speak to the audience as he has secured the win by all but official counts in the Republican primary for governor. Randy Feenstra, the congressman from District 4 in Northwest Iowa, calling to concede this race. And so we are waiting to hear from Zach Lane. We did get more votes in. In fact, let me go ahead and put those numbers up for you here while we're awaiting Mr. Lane to take the stage here. And that didn't want to come up on me. I apologize. Okay, here we go for real this time. There you see the margin that we have right now, a very tight race, both at 37%, but the fact of the matter is the votes are just not out there. We have, I believe, 1 county, we have 8 counties that have not posted final numbers, and the margin has grown just under 1% advantage for Zach Lane over Randy Feenstra, but there are just not a lot of votes left out there. Arguably, there could be fewer than 1,000 votes left, and that is not within the margin to make a difference in this contest. And so Randy Feenstra has made the decision to call and concede the contest tonight to Zach Lane, and Lane will become the Republican nominee for governor in the state of Iowa. So we've heard, you heard just moments ago from Congressman Feenstra just briefly addressing the crowd and conceding the contest and offering his support to Zach Lane as he moves forward in the race against a Democratic candidate for governor, Democratic nominee, I should say, Rob Sand, the current state auditor of Iowa. As we are standing by for the final, what we expect to be the final speech of the night, I want to remind those of you who do still have to get up a little early tomorrow morning that we will have a complete recap of all the races coming up on First Alert 6 starting at 4:30 tomorrow morning. We will also be having full coverage. You can see all the latest information on our website, firstalert6.com, and we are sticking with you here until the candidate comes out. Zach Lane giving the last speech of the night for all intents and purposes. As the winner of the presumed winner, I should say, the presumptive winner of what was the closest race of the night. Let's go back now live to the Lane campaign. Obviously, a huge win. Taking on a sitting congressman is no small task for a higher office. We did see a member of Congress, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, Republican from Northeast Iowa, in District 2, gave up her seat to run for Senate. She did win the nomination tonight. Randy Feenstra gave up his seat in District 4 to run for governor, and he has fallen just short against Zach Lane. So the matchup is now set in November, as you see on the bottom of your screen. Democrat Rob Sand, the current state auditor of Iowa, will face off against Zach Lane to become the next governor of the state of Iowa in November, as sitting Governor Kim Reynolds has chosen not to seek a third full term. She did serve 2 full terms. She won election twice, and she also served prior to that for about a year and a half, completing Governor Terry Branstad's term after he resigned to become President Trump's ambassador to China in 2017. No word yet on when the candidate will be coming out tonight, but we would expect it to be somewhat soon, as it is quite late and many people do have to work. They have unfortunately missed their news window at this point, as most newscasts have gone off as they wrap up at about 10:35 or so. So if you're still joining us, I want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, you're one of those that loves politics as much as I do, even as ugly as it may be sometimes. And we've been thrilled to bring you all of this coverage, as we did for the Nebraska primaries just about a month ago. As speech after speech after speech has come down as the results have come in. And this was the last and closest race of the night between Zach Lane and Randy Feenstra for the Republican nomination for governor. Right now, we have officially 98% of the vote in, so we don't expect much more votes to come in. And the margin of victory right now for Zach Lane sits at about 1,800, just under 1,800 votes, probably about 1767, separating the two. So a very close contest tonight. Obviously heartbreaking for the Feenstra campaign. His political career, at least for now, has come to an end after serving several terms in Congress for District 4 here over in Iowa. Feenstra spent time prior to that at the State House, and he is now ending his time in the political arena, at least for now, as he has failed to win the nomination for governor against Zach Lane. Obviously, as you can see there from the live shot, not many people have left the Lane watch party tonight, as they want to hear from their candidate now. And as we continue to stand by for that speech, let's go ahead and show you those numbers again tonight that the Lane campaign will be celebrating here very shortly, defeating Randy Feenstra by just about 1,600 or 1,700 votes tonight. A very close race, and it was close throughout the night. Zach Lane pulled ahead early as some of the bigger numbers came in from Polk County early on, and essentially never looked back, but Randy Feenstra was never far behind. But there are just simply not enough votes left out there for Feenstra to make up this difference, and he has called and conceded this race. While we have some time here, we'll go over some of the other contests. Of course, Zach Lane, as the Republican nominee, will face Rob Sand, the Democratic nominee for governor and current Secretary of State. For the race for one of Iowa's Senate seats, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson will represent the Republicans, as current Republican Senator Joni Ernst has chosen not to seek a third term. She will face off against state lawmaker Josh Turek of Council Bluffs, who handily defeated fellow lawmakers Zach Walls of Iowa City in a contest for the Democratic nomination. House District 1 on the Democratic side, Christina Bohannon will run for a third consecutive time as the Democratic nominee, and she, for a third consecutive time, will face off against incumbent Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks, who also handily won her primary tonight. Now for District 2 in Northeast Iowa, Lindsey James will be the Democratic nominee for the first time, the state lawmaker from Dubuque, handily winning her primary, and she will face off against Joe Mitchell, who won the near 2-to-1 advantage over Charlie McClintock. Joe Mitchell will try and hold this seat, currently held by Congresswoman Hinson. In District 4, just a Democratic primary tonight. Dave Dawson will be the Democratic nominee in House District 4, as this will be an open contest in November. On the state the state auditor side, the Republican nominee will be Chris Kornoyer, as he won by a near double-digit margin tonight over Abigail Moss. Some of the House races we were looking at in our area, Dustin Durbin will be the Democratic nominee in House District 12 in Iowa, winning by a more than 2-to-1 margin. District 15 on the Republican side, right now no official call, but it appears nearly all the votes are in, and Jason Schur should be coming out on top with a pretty decisive win. He will be the nominee in Iowa House District 15, and in House District 17, the incumbent Devin Wood holding off a challenge from Sean Kelly by a wide margin, and he will again be the nominee for District 17. Again, we continue to stand by for Republican nominee for governor, or presumptive Republican nominee for governor, Zach Lane, excuse me. I always want to say Lon. He will be taking the podium here shortly, as Randy Feenstra has called to concede this race, and he will now face Democrat Rob Sand, the current state auditor in Iowa. That will be the matchup for Iowa governor coming up in November. Along with that Senate race we were talking about, this has been a very closely watched race nationwide, as Democrats are looking to pick up seats from Republicans, and Iowa is a state that they used to have a fair amount of success in. This is a state that voted for President Obama twice, then went around and voted for President Trump 3 times. So this is a state Democrats would like to see come back to their column in some races, but they have had virtually no success, with the exception of State Auditor Rob Sand, in the last 14 years or so, since the retirement of Iowa Senator Tom Harkin in 2014. As you see, the audience still gathering, awaiting the candidates to come out, as this is the moment that they have been waiting for all night long, to hear from the candidate tonight. We're also keeping an eye out on the Feenstra campaign. Just a short time ago, we did bring you his brief concession speech. He is still in the hall talking to supporters, and not sure if he will be talking to the media yet tonight. But we're keeping an eye on him. Sometimes candidates give a quick speech and head out. To Congressman Feenstra's credit, he is sticking around for a little while and talking to supporters, and trying to see if he'll give our crew on the scene there here a brief minute to talk about coming up a little bit short in this contest. And we're just standing by to see if he does that, and it looks like he may be actually leaving now after talking to his supporters in the hall there tonight. We will have, of course, we are still collecting footage and interviews. All of our crews, excuse me, across the state of Iowa will have a full update and recap on all of this coming up on First Alert 6 tomorrow morning, beginning at 4:30. Right now, we are standing by for the final speech of the night from Zach Lane, who will be the Republican nominee for governor in Iowa, and will take on Iowa State Auditor and Democratic nominee for governor, Rob Sand. This will be one of the closer governor's races, many believe. This was considered to be pretty solidly in the Republican circles for some time, but the infighting in the split. The wide field of candidates and viable candidates in this race on the Republican side, and growing support for Rob Sand, who has already won statewide contests here in Iowa. The Cook Political Report, who often gauges the competitiveness of these races across the country, has begun to shift it from solid Republican, as they like to say, to leans Republican. And many believe, depending on how these two candidates do, and of course what President Trump does, has a big role in that as well, as the Republican Party has remained in lockstep with the president through some very negative poll numbers over the last year as he launched the war in Iran. As a result, gas prices and inflation have begun coming up quite a bit. Experts saying, in fact, the worst of the inflation is still yet to come as we get even closer to the midterms. And as the famous Democratic strategist James Carville said in the 1992 campaign, it's the economy, stupid. That has always rung true. Bad economic news, bad economic situations for Americans, usually bad news for the party in power. And right now, the party in power in Iowa, as well as on Capitol Hill in the White House, is the Republican Party. And so they are facing a lot of headwinds right now if they are to maintain control of Capitol Hill, if they are to maintain control of the governorship in Iowa and several other states rather. And so we've been watching these races tonight because, like here in Nebraska with the blue dot race, that is a seat that Democrats see as critical to win back in order to take the majority in the House. Democrats also think that they can score a win here in the Senate race in Iowa between Republican Ashley Hinson and Democrat Josh Turek, and would also like to win a governor's race here in Iowa between Rob Sand and Republican Zach Lane, because although it would be highly improbable that Democrats would retake the state house in Iowa, Rob Sand has vowed that he would work on compromise and bipartisan effort to still enact meaningful legislation for Iowans with a Republican state house. Of course, Republicans would rather just keep control of everything. They do have a supermajority in the Iowa State House, not that they have any kind of filibuster option in the State House, but they can handle several members of their own party from rejecting certain pieces of legislation and still getting it passed with the governor's signature. Again, we're continuing to stand by for Zach Lane, the presumptive Republican nominee for governor. While we're waiting, let's go back and take a look at those numbers one more time here. As you can see, a very, very tight race, virtually all of the results in now, and Zach Lane holding that roughly 1,700 plus vote lead over Randy Feenstra. A very tight race, right around 1% or just under 1% between the two candidates. But Randy Feenstra and his team deciding it is not close enough to request a recount. And so Feenstra, a short time ago, conceding the race and coming out and speaking to his supporters and saying, we did our best and it wasn't good enough, and congratulating Zach Lane on becoming the Republican nominee for governor in Iowa. We'll take you back out live here again to the Zach Lane camp here as we're continuing to stand by for any sign of the candidate. Still no word on when he may come out. We're now approaching the 11 o'clock hour. It's been some 30 minutes since Feenstra, or more than 30 minutes rather, since Feenstra called to concede this race. And now we are standing by for Zach Lane's speech to those who are waiting to hear from the presumptive Republican nominee for Iowa governor. Again, as you saw in the numbers, the Associated Press has not formally called this race. They may do that tonight. They may not do that tonight. But for the candidates involved, the leading two vote getters, Randy Feenstra has conceded this race. Obviously, there's nothing official about that, but it does appear extremely unlikely that there is any potential outcome that would swing enough votes towards Feenstra to change the outcome of this election, and he has called Zach Lane to concede. And now we are standing by for the candidate, and judging by some of the screams we're hearing,
Governor of the great state of Iowa, Zach Lane.
And I would say he is taking the podium right now. So there you heard the introduction of the presumptive Republican nominee for Iowa governor, Zach Lane. And we're waiting for him to emerge from the crowd there that is flooding the camera shot with placards and cell phones to capture the moment. And shortly he'll be taken to the podium, or he already has. We can't really see. I think he is up there right now. And once everybody puts their hands down, we'll hopefully get a better look here at Mr. Lane as he will declare victory in this race after receiving a call of concession from Congressman Randy Feenstra in the race for the Republican nomination for governor. Again, Lane will face Democrat Rob Sand in the November contest. And now let's hear from the Republican nominee.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my wife, Annie. Thank you to every volunteer, to every supporter, every single one of you who saw the opportunity of this campaign before anyone else did. And most of all, thank you to the people of Iowa. Tonight belongs to you. I don't have to tell you this, but nobody thought this could be done. We were outspent, opposed by the establishment, told to wait our turn. Well, tonight the people of Iowa had something to say about that we're not going to wait anymore. They said Iowa doesn't belong to the political class. They said our state does not belong to the lobbyists, special interests, and corporate giants who for far too long have had way too much power in our state. Instead, you all said this belongs to the people. People ask me all the time, why did I decide to run? Well, because in 1862, my great-great-great-grandfather, Hans Schluntz, answered President Lincoln's call, and he volunteered for Iowa's 2nd Cavalry, one of the famed Hawkeyes on horseback during the Civil War. I'm doing it because my other great-great-grandfather, Friedrich Lane, who our youngest son is named after, left Hamburg, Germany at age 14, and he traveled in the stowage of the SS Weiland and made his way to Belle Plaine, Iowa, where he met my great-great-grandmother. Together, they built the homestead. Let's go, Belle Plaine! Together, they built the homestead that remained in our family for 105 years until we lost it in 2005 when my great-grandmother passed. Ours is a long Iowa story, and it's precious to me. Every generation of my family has worked to build Iowa, has loved Iowa, and has fought for Iowa. And now, it's my turn to do the same with all of you. I'll admit, I didn't always understand this. I was one of those Iowa kids growing up who thought I had to leave to make my way. And for a while, that's what I did. But the further I went away from home, the closer Iowa got to me in my heart. And I realized everything I needed was right back here. And that's why in 2014, as you guys all know, I bought that farm back. And together, Annie and I rebuilt that place board by board. We did it because we wanted our kids to grow up the way generations of Lane kids had before them. We did it because we wanted them to know that their story matters. Their story truly matters. But most of all, we did it because we love Iowa. That's why I'm running for governor. Because I fear every day we are losing the Iowa we love. We've lost 10,000 family farms since 2000. Our young people are leaving faster than 46 other states because they don't see enough opportunity here. Wall Street hedge funds and foreign interests are buying and selling our land, driving up costs so our kids are priced out of the market. They treat Iowa land like it's a commodity instead of our inheritance. They treat us like numbers, not neighbors. This is over when I'm governor. Let's go. So here's what we're going to do. It's time to ban secret ownership, tax the heck out of those Wall Street hedge funds, and we're going to use that money to lower property taxes for every Iowa family. Big Ag has created corporate monopolies. They're squeezing our farmers for prices. They're jacking up prices on seed, input, and fertilizer, all while the price of grain stays the same. Bust them up. Let's go. On the front steps of our farmhouse, many of you were here. When I announced my campaign, I made it very clear as governor, I will take on the big ag cartels, I will break up their monopolies, and I will get Iowa farmers a fair deal. But finally, an issue that's hard to talk about, but we must talk about it. Iowa has the fastest growing cancer rate in the world. We all know something is terribly wrong. But too many politicians from Washington, D.C. to Des Moines have had their heads stuck in the sand while Big Ag and Big Pharma printed money. This will not go on when I'm governor. Iowans are going to funerals for people dying at 60 whose parents lived to be 80. We are losing the wisdom of a generation. We have to use every resource we have to solve this. We have to find out what Big Ag and Big Pharma knew about the safety of their products and when they knew it. And we need to direct our great state universities to use every resource at their disposal to fight this cancer epidemic and end it. This should have happened long ago. You all know this. But it didn't happen because politicians, by the way, politicians like Rob Sand, have looked the other way as corporate interests have pillaged our state. And why? Why have they looked the other way? Because you can't fight corruption if you're beholden to the people causing it. You can't stand up to special interests when they own your campaign. You can't put Iowa first when you're putting lobbyists first. I know many people have stood before you on election night making promises because that's what politicians do. I'm not a politician. Let's go. You all know this. I'm a husband first, a father, a farmer, and a businessman. I'm my own biggest donor. I have not been bought, and I will not be bought. My only allegiance as governor is going to be to God, my family, and the people of Iowa. You have my word. But you know who can't say that? Rob Sand can't say that. Look who's funding his campaign. George Soros, Reid Hoffman, and most of all, his family, who has given him over $9 million. You know what? When you look at who's really funding him, it's clear. Rob Sand is not running a campaign. It's an auction, and Iowa's on the block. Well, here's the deal. We have a message for Rob Sand and the establishment tonight. Iowa is not for sale. He can't fight the establishment because he's been in politics for 20 years. He is the establishment. Tonight, people are asking how we're going to beat Rob Sand. Well, I'll tell you. The same way we won tonight, we're going to keep telling the truth. And here's the truth that Iowans are going to learn. Rob Sand wants you to believe he's a moderate. We've seen this movie before. Across America, liberals like Rob Sand pretend to be moderates so they can get elected and they govern like radicals. Rob Sand has promised to veto any culture war bill. And every time I hear him say that, you need to know what he really means. It means he's willing to let boys play in girls' sports. It means he's willing to allow late-term abortions. And he won't do a thing to stop illegal immigration. Rob Sand is not a moderate. He's a liberal career politician pretending to be someone he's not. That's not our campaign. Our campaign since the very beginning, many of you were there, it's been about issues. It's been about the future. Our message for the general election isn't going to change. We're not going to let wealthy donors, out-of-state interests, and political insiders decide the future of our state anymore. And here's why. It's very simple. You've heard me say this before. Iowa belongs to Iowans. Iowa belongs to the families and children here. It belongs to the farmers working the ground. It belongs to the small towns that are fighting to survive. It belongs to the young people who want to stay home. It belongs to us. There will be a lot of talk about what's at stake in this campaign. But you've heard our campaign. I prefer to think about what the opportunity is that we have before us. An opportunity to restore hope, to rebuild what's been lost, to make Iowa the best place in America to raise a family, to own a home, to start a business, and to build a life. Tonight is just the beginning. The fight starts now. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Iowa. Let's go win in November! Woo!
That was Republican nominee for Iowa Governor Zach Lane addressing supporters tonight after a narrow but decisive victory over Republican Congressman Randy Feenstra, who fell short in his bid for the Republican nomination for governor. This sets up the contest for governor between Lane of Belle Plaine and Rob Sand, the Democratic nominee for governor who ran unopposed tonight. Sand, currently the state auditor, the only Democrat to be elected to statewide office, has served 2 terms as state auditor and is now seeking the governor's seat. Lane, wasting no time to paint Rob Sand as a left-wing liberal and not a centrist or a moderate. Of course, trying to connect him to certain donors and certain policies Lane also taking shots at him over things that he said he would veto, what he called social issues, including bans in trans sports in high school and other things like that. What we didn't hear that I found interesting in Mr. Lane's speech tonight is what we heard from every winner tonight, both Democrat and Republican, that we didn't hear from him. President Trump. Democrats who won contests tonight spoke out against President Trump. Republicans who won tonight spoke out as how much they support President Trump's policies, and they want to go and support him as well. Obviously, Zach Lane is not running for a federal contest, but President Trump has maintained support within the Republican Party, but we did not hear anything about President Trump and his policies. Zach Lane trying to paint himself as more of an independent candidate than Randy Feenstra or others, that he's not establishment, trying to paint Rob Sand himself as an establishment candidate as well, vowing that he will answer to nobody and that he will enact policies for Iowans and not for national Republicans. So a fight for the middle, a fight for the centrist and the independent here in Iowa between Zach Lane and Rob Sand in the race for governor. We will have to see who comes out on top. But again, that will all be decided in November. As for tonight, the races have been decided, close or not. We have our nominees for November in the state of Iowa. And now the race will begin for the midterm elections, with the fate of the governor's seat as well as the fate of the control of Congress may rest in the hands of Iowans. As pivotal races will not only be focused on the issues, but also the attitude of voters that will be sharing their feelings not only about the candidates they're voting for, but the parties in which they represent and how they impact them, both the people that they love and themselves. Politics is always personal, as many like to say, and as we said earlier, it's the economy, stupid, and this is probably one of the worst economies that a party has had to run on in a midterm, and that does not bode well for Republicans. But Republicans believe they have the candidates now in Iowa to maintain control in the U.S. House seats, Senate seats, and the governor's mansion as well. But of course, that we will find out about come November. As for tonight, that does it for our coverage of Decision 2026, the Iowa primaries. I want to thank everybody for joining us on our streaming channels, as well as on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I believe we were on Twitch tonight as well. Thank you to everybody who's joined us and followed along with our coverage as the numbers have come in. We hope you've enjoyed this. As always, especially on YouTube, if you like our breaking news and weather coverage, we do this for severe weather. We do this for breaking news, as we did earlier today, and all kinds of live coverage, including political coverage. Be sure to like these videos and please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And if you want to know when we go live, of course, you got to hit that bell icon on YouTube, and you'll get notifications when we do go live for breaking news, severe weather, and of course, just live coverage of events of the day. So that'll do it for us tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining us for this extended Decision 2026 coverage from the Alert Center here in Omaha. I'm Nick Weig, First Alert 6.